right, we have lights, we have camera, and we have action. Thank you guys so much for making your way over to Corry, Pennsylvania. Heritage Community of the Year last year, so we're hosting a festivity plethora, amazing events over the past couple of days and into the weekend. But I wanted to thank you all for coming in, and I wanted to, how the day is going to roll out. We have our welcome. This is our committee. We're going to show a video. We're going to do our annual business meeting and annual report. We have some amazing heart and soul presentations. We have a keynote address by Jeff Siegler, and we then have our awards. So it's going to be a fun-filled day, and feel free, if anybody needs to use the restroom right around the corner, grab some drinks, some coffee. If anybody needs to get up during time, feel free to get up and move and stretch, because we're going to be here for a little bit. But thank you guys. So I want to first recognize the committee that puts this together. Chuck Gray, Impact Corry. Wendy Neckers from the Corry Downtown Business Association and Painted Bench. Chris Temple from Visit Erie. Melinda Meyer, Preservation Erie, PA Risics board member, slash. Ralph Schurter. Cherie Dickey from the Chamber. This is us, right?
Yes.
We've been working for a year to and Corry has really rolled out the red carpet for us. So without further ado, I'm going to have Wendy also give a welcome from her community.
Good morning, everyone. We're so pleased to have you here. Thank you for making the trek to Corry. We're really proud of what we've been doing in the town, and as I'm sure you're really working hard and proud of your towns as well. Just welcome. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see, if you haven't been here all weekend, get downtown, look at some of the great shops that are there. Check out your goodie bags. There's lots of coupons and incentives for you to visit the shops downtown. Our local creamery, which they have a dairy here in town, and then they actually bottle their own milk. They've given you 2 free scoops of ice cream, so all you have to do is go by and visit their facility as well. And again, thank you so much for coming to Corry, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Before you start, I'm going to add one thing. Yep. And anyone who's adventurous after this event, we're holding Hiking with Bob. Bob Frazier is our Green Spaces champion, and he's a man on a mission to make our trails. He has worked all summer to create a rustic trail that attaches to the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail and goes around, partially around our golf course. He's going to be welcoming people to hike with him today and give feedback on the trail. It's not officially open yet, so we'd love to tell you, hey, I need a sign here. What about this? So please, if you have the opportunity, go hiking with Bob. Then at 5 o'clock today, so far, there's going to be hot air balloons over Corry downtown, and that's kicking off First Friday, which is an amazing event. And I still have one unclaimed cape. If you look at the end of the First Friday festival, you'll see a woman in an LED lighted cape. That is leading the illumination parade at 7:30 tonight. So if you want to come dance with us, find me. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for the rest of the afternoon. Like Candace said, my name is Chris. I'm the Director of Communications with Visit Erie, and we are very excited to have you all here, and we're even more excited because in just 6 short months, Erie and Corry will both be in the path of totality for the total solar eclipse. So we are really excited about that. We've got some great events that are in the pipeline. There's going to be a lot of people coming to our community, and we're really looking forward to putting our best foot forward. I did bring along some signage over by the lunch table, so if you get a chance, check it out. And like the sign says, we can't wait to see you until we can't see you. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who I've known for quite some time, Perry Wood. So Perry Wood is the Executive Director of the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority. Dr. Wood received his doctorate in social and comparative analysis in education policy from the University of Pittsburgh. He received his MS in organizational leadership and his BA in political science from Mercyhurst University. Founded in 2008, the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority was created to administer municipal grants and serve as the main driver of economic development in Erie County. They are quite the force to be reckoned with. Today, it's expanded its focus to impact investments at every level of the community, from schools to small businesses to neighborhoods to municipalities, intended to uplift not only the regional economy, but also its society, culture, and environment. Perry?
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and welcome to Erie County. Can I start off by asking how many of you have a casino or racino in your home county? Just show of hands here. Okay, so some of them. Can I ask what county you're from? Erie County, and so we're only getting Erie County. Is there anyone? Dauphin County. Dauphin County. Okay, thanks. So what's interesting about the state of Pennsylvania, of course, is this notion of local share gaming revenue. If you go back to 2005, you have Governor Rendell, who's negotiating with the legislature on legalizing gaming for the first time, and you have a lot of senators, especially, that were concerned about what would the negative effects be of bringing the gambling industry to our state. And so some of the compromise that came out of it was for host municipalities and later on the state to create something called local share gaming revenue. So they took a very small percentage, 1% of the slots machines in each host municipality, and they kept it there. So those gross terminal revenues, half of it goes to the host county, so in our case, Erie County, and the other half goes to either a municipal authority or a planning association or a redevelopment authority or some type of entity who's going to administer it. In Erie County, they decided to create the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority. And so we have structured ourselves as a mixture of community foundation type approach, but also if you look at special asset districts like they have in Allegheny County, it's that same type of approach as well because we're a public agency. So if you're not in touch with your casinos on gaining access to local share, also the state has a fund for gaming revenue as well. But what we decided to do here in Erie County was to put a significant portion of it toward economic and community development in the rural areas. And the Route 6 communities have been a tremendous beneficiary of that. Two of the programs that we created, which are in the title of my talk, which Chuck picked, thank you for that title, is to work on the main streets and the surrounding neighborhoods. So we've clearly put the framework of the National Trust for Historic Preservation to work. That's how we work with the local communities, whoever the champion is. So it could be a 501c3 like Impact Corry. It could be a borough manager. It could be a business association. You never know who you're going to run into, but you're looking for that champion, like the folks in this room. And we're working with these champions to develop downtowns and their main streets and their surrounding neighborhoods. The other program that we have is we call it Renaissance Block. And so this takes a look at what do you do with the neighborhoods surrounding your commercial corridor areas, which are just as important to invest in if you want to buttress what you're doing on Main Street. We took a look at a model that was developed in New York called Renaissance Block. It started in Jamestown, New York, right across the border, not far from here, and then went all across the state. So if you're looking for a model to complement what you're doing in Main Street renewal, Renaissance Block is fascinating because you're getting property owners directly involved the same way you're getting business owners involved at the Main Street level. So you're getting property owners involved, you're targeting blocks, and you're trying to get as many on that block as possible to do curbside appeal improvements to their properties. So a lot like what you would do at the Main Street level. It has to do with organization, has to do with promotion, and it has to do with good design principles. So those are the two main programs that we're investing in. We tallied it recently. We've invested about $3 million into those programs, into the main streets of just Erie County that are on Route 6. So about $3 million in rural economic development investments. All right, let me pause there and see if anyone has any questions. Yes, ma'am.
What's the percentage of, well, I was trying to look it up, so I didn't have to ask you, but I couldn't find it. The state percentage, what percentage do they take of for that local share statewide?
Okay, so the way gaming works in the state of Pennsylvania is the state takes 60% of the revenue, gross terminal revenue from casinos. That's the 40% is the profit margin for these folks that open up a racino or a casino. That 60% goes primarily to property tax reduction in the form of homestead. Whenever you claim your homestead, it's reducing your school district taxes. And then probably about 4 or 5%, last time I checked, goes to an economic development fund, which is LSA account, which is redistributed statewide. And I highly recommend it for folks that are, in your organizations, 501c3s, to go after those competitive funds. Great question. Local share. So it's a local share account. LSA stands for local share. The question is, can you apply for the grant more than once? The answer is yes, you absolutely can. In Erie County, we use it as a ongoing, stable source of locally controlled economic development funding with a great focus on rural economic development, with the main streets really being the primary focus for that approach. Okay. Any other questions for me? Hey, don't hesitate. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can the funds be used for a Route 6 association project that's outside of Erie County, or does it just have to be in Erie County?
So the question was, can the funds be used for any Route 6 project throughout Pennsylvania? If you're applying to ECRA, it has to be within Erie County. And there are 10 different main streets throughout Erie County that have benefited from our funding. But that local share account that we were just discussing is statewide. So that's through DCED. Yeah. Okay. Chuck, anything else I should share with the group before we wrap it up?
Why don't you share about the matching?
About how matching works?
Yeah, on both of those projects, because that's a big wall too.
Sure. So, my organization's kind of interesting. It's an authority created at the county level. And we have a county executive council form of government. So there are 7 districts that each elect a county council person. And then those county council people will appoint one person from each district to come sit on my board of directors. So it's great because it ensures that the funds are spread across all of Erie County. And a lot of times you have, local business leaders that end up in a situation like that, or retired elected officials. And one of the things they've been adamant about is that there is a local match component to our funding, a challenge match component. So in many cases, our leverage is a minimum of 1-to-1. But as you know, investing in main streets, it's often greater than that. The velocity of capital that's impacted on main streets, whereas your average let's say shopping district, for example, with big box stores, has a velocity rate of 1 to 1-to-2. And what I mean by that is for every dollar invested, it might recirculate in your community once, twice tops. But for your main streets, it's more like 1-to-5 or 1-to-6. So the velocity of that capital gets recycled over and over again, creating even greater impact of economic development. So you have a matching and you have the velocity component, creating a multiplier effect for your communities. And that's good economic development, folks. Well, I'll be around. I'm going to stick around and hear some of the other speakers. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to come up to me and chat. And if you want to approach anyone from the casino in your community or in your neighboring county, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks, folks.
So I suggest if you don't have a casino, look into it, because 0.5% is making the difference throughout Erie County. And I have to tell you that ECRA is the one institution that rural communities can count on to fund our projects. And as you all know, Mission Main Street or facade programs downtown are tough to fund. I've had 2-year campaign with our city government trying to get CDBG funds that way, but it seems there's always a pushback about money going to a property owner without the nuance of the fact that this is going to make our city survive. So groups like ECRA are really changing our city centers. And also I wanted to tell you about the Renaissance Block program. We've had multiple funders for it, but of the $190,000 that's been invested here so far by ECRA, homeowners have matched that to over $200,000. And since COVID, the homeowners get up to a $5,000 match. We keep getting homeowners doing $12,000 projects, $20,000 projects. I just had one over 30. So that 5,000 is key, because we have an equity gap here where people used to think, why invest in my home? I'm not going to get it out at the end. But dangling $5,000, maybe I shouldn't put it that crassly, but saying, hey, it's a half off sale, we'll give you half of what you spend up to $5,000, it has people believing. And then they see their neighbors change, and then they believe more in our community. And it is just proliferating. And now we do exit interviews for every Renaissance Block family, and they have, to a person, identified 2 additional projects in their neighborhood not funded by Renaissance Block that were inspired by Renaissance Block. So there's even secondary effects. We worked with Erie County Data, oh boy, Perry, what's their name? Data Center, thank you. They have this in-plan system where you give them the raw data of your investment, and the computer crunches it so that $190,000 from ECRA, over $200,000 from our homeowners, had an additional economic impact in our community, over $600,000. And they even traced how many times those dollars stayed in our community, and it's very impressive through this model. So anyway, we are so excited about how this works. Oh, and if anybody wants to know anything more about these programs, Mary Maxwell gave me all of her stuff. They are the originators, she and Pete Lombardi over in Jamestown. You can hassle her or you can hassle me. We will give you every piece, every document we've ever used or thought of for it. So if you want to start one of these in your neighborhood. So we wanted to put together a movie. There's facts and figures about what happens when we fix up facades. But we wanted to put together a video where you'd meet some of the people who have benefited from these, both for the PA Route 6 facade program and our Mission Main Street facade program here in Corry. So I'll leave it off at that.
So, I mean, we look at it from, when we do the facade program, the impacts and making things sparkle and making the towns look nice. And we sometimes miss the personal stories that come from what the program does. And Vanessa is our facade coordinator. She's over there. Stand up, high, wave, Vanessa. She has the opportunity to work directly with those businesses. I have to do the paperwork, so it's not fun for me, but it's more fun. So we do have, and Janet, I can call here on you. She was another recipient, and we'll get to a slide later on that. I won't miss you. But as of right, so I'm going to turn this over now to Dan Glotz. He is our board president.
Candace. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Good? All right. Before we get started, you know, it took a whole lot of planning to put this whole thing together for the last couple of days, and I really think that Candace and her crew deserve one more round of applause. Fine job. How many of you had an opportunity to take advantage of yesterday? Oh, quite a bit of you. All right. A lot of valuable information. A lot of valuable good ideas came out of that, I'm sure. And we hope you take these back with you to your communities. And as you can see, things are really starting to happen across the Route 6 region. When you see partnerships like you're experiencing this morning with the Gaming Authority, with the facade programs, with Route 6 Alliance, it's all about partnerships, and we need to continue to encourage that type of ways to get things rolling and accomplish the many things that we want to do. So in your communities, stick to your heritage plans if you have one. I think we have a few communities that are coming up with updates to their heritage plans, so I would encourage everyone to get involved and make those necessary changes, and then stick to the plans. They're a very helpful tool in moving forward. I want to first of all recognize the board of directors that we have for the Route 6 Alliance. It takes a lot of folks to make things happen. One of the things that we are working on right now and we're hoping is a success for us is designation of Route 6 as a byway. We're starting out with four counties right now: Tioga, Potter, McKean, and Warren. And we're hoping that it gains momentum to spread across the state. Our ultimate goal is national designation, but we can't get that national designation until we have state designation. So it's been a long time in the works. I think we're getting very close. We just keep pushing ahead, and hopefully next year we can say we did it. So that's our goal. So first of all, the members of the board. Our vice president this year is Christine. I know I'm going to butcher this name. Toki Move. Oh, surprise. Our secretary, Jason Kreis, if you would stand up when I introduce you. Randy Heller is our treasurer. This guy wins the award for traveling the furthest, I'm sure, all the way from Wayne County. Linda Devlin is our executive director from the Allegheny National Forest Visitors Bureau on the board. Christine Temple is Christine. John Phillips, president of the Oil Region Alliance. Melinda Meyer, president of Preservation Erie. Robin Cummings is our executive director of Bradford County Tourism Promotion Agency. Colleen Hansen, the executive director of Visit Potter Tioga. And Will Hunt, the Potter County planner. And Kevin Abrams. I don't believe Kevin is here, but Kevin was kind of a fixture with this organization for not years, but probably decades. He's our honorary director. He finally hung up his hat last year and turned it over to me. Lucky me, huh? What big shoes to fill. We have a couple of new members that we want to welcome onto the board. And do we need to take action and approval on this? Okay, there are three individuals who we would like to bring on. Jean Roof, CBB Director of Endless Mountains Visitors Bureau and the Marketing Region Representative for our third representative for Marketing Region in upstate PA. Connor Vasilio. Is Connor? He's with the North Central Regional Planning and Development Commission. He works as a transportation planning coordinator. And Casey Ferry. Casey is the Visitors Bureau Director for the Warren County Visitors Bureau, our tourist promotion agency from Warren. So those are our three candidates for bringing on to the executive board, or the board, I should say. And so I would need a motion and a second to appoint those three individuals. We have a motion back there with Randy and a second with Linda. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? You're in. We do have one position that is open on the board. We have an at-large representative for the Marketing Region, Representative 3 in upstate Pennsylvania. Could we take a look at this here? Are these our candidates
the-
can come from those,
We have one position, it's the at-large rep two.
oh, okay. All right, I got it now. Just one representative at large too.
It's only his second or third decade on the board.
Okay. So if you know of someone who's interested, or you yourself are interested, please get with Candy or I, and we can make that happen. So from here, typically our board meetings are long, drawn out.
No, they're not.
Oh, yeah. But we want to keep it short today. But as we move along, there's a certain individual that we want to recognize. And she has dedicated probably decades to this organization as well. Now, the folks who know me, I have a planning background. I currently serve as the planning director for Warren County. And she has often said to me, my favorite people are planners. And I tell you, she's not lying. So, but we've worked on a lot of projects together, made a couple of byways happen in McKean County, as a matter of fact. And she's always been a go-getter when it came to promoting tourism and so forth in this region here. So, Linda Devlin, we are truly honored to honor you today. I believe that we have a cake over here that will serve as dessert after the meal today. So, now, rumor has it you're thinking of retiring?
Yes.
No.
Thank you, Dan. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Candace. It's been a great multi-decade adventure. Tourism is in my blood, and Dan is absolutely correct. You put somebody in marketing and you put a planner with them, and we can do anything in the world.
We sure can.
I mean, it's just such a wonderful mix because, sometimes in marketing we go, and we have all these ideas and the planner just goes, and here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. So if you're in marketing and you need some of that, pull me back, let's get us on the steps to success, find your planner. And it makes a great mix. But I'd like to thank everyone in the room. I've worked with many of you for many years, and Route 6 is a wonderful association. It does projects that really bring results to our local businesses. We have our local businesses say, here comes somebody from Route 6. They brought the brochure in. They had my business circled. And, that's the economic development part of it. So that's what we do. So thank you all very much.
And over here, Candy.
You want me to do what? Oh, you want a picture?
Okay, at this time, I want to turn it over to Candace with a little bit more information on the accomplishments and so forth for the Alliance. So, Candace?
Thank you, Dan. So, most people here do know what Route 6 is and what we do, but we do have some new faces and some new award winners coming in. But we are one of the state designated heritage areas, and we have 6 areas of focus: partnership, education and interpretation, open space and recreation, cultural conservation, tourism promotion, and economic development. I'd love to be able to recognize the staff that are here with us today. This is our full boat. So we cover 427 miles in 11 counties, and this is our staff. So could we please have Vanessa, and please recognize Vanessa. She is our facade coordinator. Abby Pritchard is our bookkeeper. She's sitting over beside Vanessa. Rachel Courtney. If you could stand, Rachel. So everybody, this is Rachel Courtney. She is our brand new artist and trail coordinator. She jumped in and got her knees wet. Erin was with us for about 2.5 years, and her anticipation was to come here, and this was going to be her final hurrah. But she has purchased a new building, a new business, and is enduring different adventures, but she wanted to come with us today to say farewell to us. But Erin needs coverage because the students went back to school, so she's not able to be with us. But Rachel has so graciously accepted the position. When we interviewed with her, she probably had more energy, spunk, and spirit than somebody that I've seen in a long time, and it kind of. She was golden. So she also is also an entrepreneur. She has a maple business. She has a food truck. She's a freelance graphic artist. So she's a lady that she's new to our organization. So you will see emails and you'll be learning to love her just like we do. And I know, Ralph, it's hard to follow that.
Ralph's our assistant.
Ralph is the glue that holds all of this together. Ralph and I are the two full-time employees, and Ralph he's a sounding board. He is an amazing writer. He is so good in marketing, pulling all this together, and he does it without ever making a complaint about it. So he goes very with the flow, or at least maybe not to me. But I just want to recognize the staff that are here. We have a giant region, but our staff is small, but we are mighty. So thank you so much to the staff. Our partners, we take a lot of heart and we take a lot of passion with our partners. There's not one project that Route 6 does that we don't have a handful or two of partners on. We have, like I said, we're one of the heritage areas. I want to recognize Holly from the Lumber Heritage Region. She is here. She's another one of our sister organizations. And also John, Oil Region Alliance. He's one of our newer partners for the facade program. But Holly and I are state designated heritage areas, and John is a national, sorry. He's nationally designated. And then we couldn't do the work that we do without our visitor bureaus. So Chris here from Visit Erie, Linda from the National Forest, Casey from Warren County. So thank you so much for being here and always supporting us. So we work with the 9 visitor bureaus, with the Tourist Association, which is a separate agency with the Route 6. We do a lot of tourism promotion. We want to bring the people here. We're very proud of our area. We have a Google ad grant that we bring in $10,000 a month in free Google advertising because we're a 501c3 organization. And to date, we've spent more than $340,000 in the past since we have brought the program on in 2020. Linda was actually the person. We were down in Asheville at a conference, and we learned about it. And Linda was a big part of bringing that to fruition with us. So we worked on it, we got it, and it's rolling. So if you're a 501c3 organization who could benefit, let us know, and we'll see if we can help you, guide you, because you do get that Google advertising money comes in, and it's really great for your organization. We send out a ton of newsletters. If you're not receiving them, please let us know, because we'd like to get you on. In your swag bag, we have a fresh, hot off the press, you can still smell the ink, motorcycle loop map that has been printed, so that's in your swag bag, which is here, and also have a visitor's guide. We take a lot of co-op advertising. We do a 2-page spread in the Happy Traveler magazine and Rider magazine. One of our niche markets is motorcycling. And our partners come in who typically couldn't afford an ad in a state magazine, so we do a co-op and a nice 2-page spread. Our Artisan Trail. We gained 21 new members last year. Our membership keeps growing and growing and growing. In fact, we actually had to increase the size of our printed map that we had this year. And we do have a few of our Artisan Trail members here, so thank you. We did a mural tour, so what a way to tell the story. I know we have some folks here from the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, and we love storytelling through art. And we created a trail. So we didn't implement these murals. We just simply telling the story. So we have an interactive Google mapping that you can go from town to town that connects you across the corridor through the storytelling of murals. And there's over 50 of them, so the postcard's also in your swag bag. In the middle, I don't know if you can see, in the middle there's a gap right there. So that was the gap that was identified, that there's not a public a mural or a public art piece. So we had really excellent timing. The community of Gailton came to us and said, we would love to do a mural. Can you help us make this happen? So they funneled the funding through us, and we hired a local artist who grew up in near the Mansfield area and now lives in Philadelphia. His name is Jonathan Leidacker, and he is working with us to bring a mural into Potter County, into the Gailton area. So it is of James Kilgard, who was a famous author, and he wrote the book Big Red, which became a Disney movie. So it's a really unique story. And we turned it into an artist in residency program. That's one thing that we're kind of lacking in the hometown of in Gailton is some arts and culture. So it was a nice way to bring the students in to start learning about some arts in the process. So we had a couple really great community paint days. So that's been a great project, and that project will come to fruition in the spring. So at our next annual meeting, you'll be able to see the completed project. We partnered with Endless Mountains Heritage Region. We wanted to do some makers markets. We wanted to support the makers who make the beautiful products across the corridor. We wanted to support venues who wanted to bring in some additional vendors to bring in a couple events to give them some more people to come into the events. So we had 2 makers markets recently. It was one in Bradford County and one in Wyoming County. And Keystone College, we partnered with them to bring it. It was to be in conjunction with Christy Matheson Day, which ended up getting canceled because they had lack of volunteers. So we still moved forward with the makers market, and we had 16 vendors there. And it turned out to be a great day, and we had amazing feedback that that the town still had something to come to, even though that they didn't have their festival because of the lack of volunteers. Rachel's first week on the job, we threw her into a maker's market. So she was also a maker. She had a Sugar Shack operation up and running as well. And Ralph, they had a great time in Bradford County at the Pennsylvania Heritage Farm Museum. They had a really, really great turnout. And last year, I believe they had around 7 vendors. So it was a nice way to bring additional vendors over to them. And we had around 19 vendors. So it was very successful. It was so successful that Rachel is now drumming up a third in one. So one will be happening in Tioga County at Gemeiner. Dan had touched about the byway. It's been an initiative of ours for many, many, many years, way beyond my years. 15 years. Dan, how many years?
At least 15.
At least 15 years. So we're working. Every municipality is stopping in and getting resolutions. We're working very, very hard. Right now it sits in the hands of the legislators, as well as we're putting in an application. So please show your support of the byway, because our goal is to become nationally designated. I want to touch on some bicycle tourism. It's been a work for the organization really strongly over the past few years. We've had we had some workshops happening, and we're waiting to see what do people want to know. They want to see signs. They want to get the amenities. We want to be able to combine existing outdoor activities with history and bike trails. We want to see a bicycle-friendly business program. So these are the things that we have been working on over the past 3 years. So we went to the Philly Bike Expo. We got a bunch of data, and we're kind of data nerds on it for a while. We reached out to every one of our heritage communities to see where people were riding to develop gravel loops. We know that Route 6 is a state-designated bike route, and it's US Bike Route 36 and bicycle. It's a state-designated bicycle route as well. So we did it. We have 6 loops that are all currently mapped out, and we're putting them into a Trans-Pennsylvania cycle tour. So it's going to connect communities from Erie to the Poconos. And here's just some examples of the signature loops from the Great Lakes region over to the Poconos. It's kind of a larger scale on the map. These loops were created to kind of bring people in for a few days and to create itineraries based on where they would like to be in each region. So they're mapped on Ride with GPS, so if you use that platform, check it out. And it's also on our website. We created a web page on our website, the biking experience. And on Ride with GPS, it shows the distances, it shows what road surface, if it's gravel, if it's paved. So we used Ride with GPS as our main platform. So this is one of our signature loops, which is over in Erie. And this is the loop that is in Corry. And like I said, it connects all of the communities together. We developed the bicycle-friendly business program to be able to provide tools to businesses to be able to have cyclists to get the best experience and to be able to give businesses those resources. Does your restaurant, do you offer Wi-Fi, or could they fill up a water bottle while they're here? If you're a lodging facility, can you take your bicycle in? Just small tidbits. Do you have a place where they can safely store their bicycle while they come in and while they shop? So if a business provides, it's a very simple program, it's free. You do have to be a member of your local visitors bureau to qualify for this program, but 3 of them, and then we can get you some signage to go on the business, and as well as mapping, so cyclists know where to come to be, where they can find some bicycle-friendly businesses. We currently have 32, so we're really excited about that. It's growing. So we encourage you, if you chambers or economic development or with the visitors bureaus, just please keep sharing it because we want to see the numbers grow. So new this year, we put all the data and all the planning into one document. So we now have a PA plan for bike tourism. And what our next steps are is we were able to be awarded funding from DCNR to do under the special grant program, the 28.6 that they offered last year. And we're going to be putting $100,000 in bicycle racks and repair stations in the PA Wilds region, so Warren, McKean, Potter, and Tioga. We're continuing to get data on the loops. We really, really need some loop testers. We want to get these loops vetted. We know that something is mapped, it doesn't mean that it's in stone. So this is why you don't see printed material right now. It's the Ride with GPS because we know that we need to kind of tweak things a little bit to make the best experience. We're also looking, I know that North Central is looking at doing some e-bike or charging for e-bikes. So working with some of our LDDs on regional initiatives. Yes?
On what you just mentioned, the grant DCNR for the bike stations?
Yes.
Have those already been decided where those are going?
No. We'll get with you.
How is that being decided?
We work with the county planners, so all of our planners. So we work with the planners in each of those counties. We have excellent relationships. You may see at least 2 of the planners here right now. We do. The facade program. I know that you guys saw an amazing video. Again, thank you, Chuck, for putting that video together. You are a superstar. We've had a rolling facade programs that we are just been having a lot of fun with. We started in the PA Wilds region back in 2018, 2019. In 2020, we were a little slower at getting all that wrapped up, but we've gained momentum and now we're rolling them out once every year, a little after. But we had a great success. We had $183,000 came in from DCED, which was matched with business funding with a total project impact of $447,000 in the PA Wilds region. And then we partnered with the Endless Mountains Heritage Region, and we brought in another $103,000 for Bradford and Wyoming County. And we awarded 32 projects and with a total project of $227,000. Currently, we're rolling in the Great Lakes region, and we just finished up. We just submitted the last 2 closeouts, and we awarded 26 projects with another $103,000 for Erie and Crawford County. We partnered with yours truly, the Oil Region Alliance. We love John. We do. We know. We do. You guys really are awesome. We love Jen, too. Where'd Holly go? Holly's not there. anyways. We love Jen, too. Jen Burden from the oil region. Yeah, yes. So we had 26 projects that we awarded in the Great Lakes region, and with a total project impact of $279,000. Here are just a couple. I know you guys saw a video, and we also have some printouts here. Voodoo Brewing. These pictures are a little bit small. Rebecca's Family Restaurant over in Crawford. Northwestern Community Youth Center here in Erie County. And Hurry Hill. So Janet is also here, so I'm sure that she'll be mentioning the facade program. She's also one of our award winners. And we're currently going Lackawanna County. So we partnered with Lackawanna Heritage Valley NeighborWorks, and we have Todd back in the corner there. He was also on our committee. We gave out $100,000 from DCED funding for this. We do match it for staffing from DCNR, so it's a dual project. And when we build our committees, we get the county planner. So anytime we do projects, it's always the regional partner that we can partner with. Definitely every single project, the county planner. And then we have the Visitors Bureau, and we combine a team to review these. And it's very competitive. We always get a lot of applications that come in. When we partnered with Lackawanna County said, we'd love to work with you. We also have a facade improvement program, and we can't seem to always spend our funds. So they were able to, they had extra funds just in this past year that we went out to, when we were out in the county, we had a couple of facade meetings and gave presentations, and it gave a lot of awareness for the county programs that they offer that may not be covered under the facade. So they were also able to give some facade grant for the outside and also for some restaurant equipment, things like that. So Lackawanna County Planning also gave out an additional $140,000. So we tried to match some of these, not to spread the program as biggest as possible. But if there were a business that was really, truly struggling, they were able to use the Lackawanna County planning money as match for the DCED. So there were a couple times that helped, but we were able to stretch out. So we funded 24 projects at $100,000 from DCED. And then, so our program was over a $247,000 impact, plus an additional $147,000 from Lackawanna County. Over accumulation of all of those, we're at $1.3 million from the last 4 programs that we've done. And we currently have partnership with another conservation landscape, the Pocono Forest and Waters, and PEC over in the Pocono Mountains region. So we are hoping to bring the program over to Wayne and Pike County, and that if we get awarded that funding from DCED, we will start that program in January of this coming year. One of my favorite parts of the communities, heritage communities, we serve 20 of them. One here, Corry. I'll shoot the sparkle and the glitter because they really rock it here. We decided, so we meet with the heritage communities and we say, what do you want to learn about? In this year's educational workshop that we had yesterday, we had over 50 business people there, and we had amazing food by Betsy Grinder from your daily serving. We actually had it twice, so I guess that would be your daily serving twice from the table. Dinner as well. But we had amazing speakers yesterday. Our theme was act, adapt, and attract. So we hit the mark on a lot of those with the remote work program from the Wilds. We had working remote from Erie County. Gosh, Chuck, help me give more. We had 10 speakers. We gave everything from fiber to, it was so well received. It was an awesome workshop. We had a panel of adaptive reuse projects that Chuck sat on with 2 other individuals of the projects that were coming in. The food was amazing. We had a really great charcuterie spread. Well, on a walking tour, we toured, and Cherie actually ended the walking tour at the end of town. And she was smart because then we all dispersed and went shopping. Then we had a little tasting at the distillery, so we had some tasting of some moonshine. Before we went up to Three Pillars Farm, and we had a really great farm to table dinner last night at the Three Pillars. So another workshop that we had recently, we partnered with the Pennsylvania Downtown Center, and we did an active transportation workshop over in Kane that was also very well received. We partnered with North Central for that as well. It was very great. I think everybody really needs to embrace the active transportation. We know that we like to have a big part of that in with our heritage community planning as well. In camp, we had a workshop last year, was growing together through outdoor recreation. So she built some relationships, and she came out, and the community of Kane funded her to come out and partner with us so we could give the presentation on our bike-friendly business program. But she gave a really great presentation on tips and ideas for being trail-friendly, which really got business people, everybody in the room, a lot of networking together to get those balls rolling. Wouldn't you agree, Linda?
Yes.
Linda was part of that as well. So it was, and just the conversations you get with them, the networking, it's how things kind of snowball. AIDS group. We have the AIDS group in the back. They are working with us. We have 2 communities that are going to be updating their heritage community work plans. Mansfield was always right here in the middle. Just wave to say hi. And also Kane. So they're both working on updating their heritage community plans. They're aging. They're about 10 years out. So we're working on that as well for this upcoming year. Heart and Soul is a program that I love, very near and very dear to my heart. We love it. It's something we want to be able to continue doing and continue blessing. We have 4 communities right now with split funding from DCNR, DCED. Jen, help me out with some of your other funders. PA Humanities.
Community Heart and Soul themselves, some county money, some local money,
Yes. Lots of, so we're able to bring this program to 4 communities, and we're going to turn that on over to Jen here in just a minute. But we had, under the special grant round 28.6 that we applied for last year, we're able to go through another round. So we'll be having 2 communities going through the program very, very soon. They've just been awarded, and they're actually here. So Mansfield is another community who's going to be going through it. So wave, say hi. And Jeremy, pay attention. Jeremy. Port Allegheny, over there. They will also be going through the Heart and Soul program. So with this, can I introduce Jen Danifo? And we'll have to flip them. Bring up her.
Hello, everybody. Should I come up to the?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Candace. So this is my first annual meeting. So I was supposed to be here last year, but I had something else going on. So I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Jen Danifo. I am Senior Program Officer at PA Humanities. How many of you know PA Humanities? Okay, a couple of you. So I don't want to take up a lot of time because we have 4 amazing communities that are going to talk about their heart and soul journey that they're just in the thick of right now. But just a little bit about PA Humanities. We are a statewide, but not a state government agency. So we are one of 56 state and U.S. territory humanities councils. There's one in every state, every U.S. territory. We are governed by the National Endowment for the Humanities, and we put the humanities in action. So when you think about history, literature, even a little bit of the arts we do as well. We do grants, we do programs, we do special projects. I'm also a coach for Heart and Soul, so I've been working with Heart and Soul. We started our partnership with Community Heart and Soul. Community Heart and Soul is actually out of Vermont. That's like we call that the mothership. They've partnered with us in 2015 to bring Heart and Soul to Pennsylvania. I'm a certified coach, and we now have, including our 4 folks that you're going to hear from today, 12 communities that have gone through Heart and Soul since 2015. And one thing that I want to say about Heart and Soul is that, like Candace mentioned, this is a partnership, funding partnerships. There's some folks in the room who I recognize who are in these communities that have been such a great partner for Heart and Soul. It is not an easy program. This is all the stuff I've been hearing about today. I'm like, you guys, this is the next step for you. The program is really about bringing communities together to talk about what matters most. It's a 4-phase usually about 2 to 3 year program. And the idea is communities come together and talk one-on-one about really what they care about. The questions that we ask are, what do you love about the community you live in? What do you want to see happen in the community you live in? And how do we make that happen? It really is a bottom-up program. Communities work really closely with their boroughs and their municipal governments. Also at the county level, Dan has been a great supporter of Heart and Soul in Warren County. But the idea is really that you're giving the power back to the people to talk about what they care about most and what they want to see happen in their community. So we're really, really excited to welcome Mansfield and Port Allegheny. Where's the Port Allegheny crew? Hi, I'm going to come over and say hi. There are two of our 4 newest communities. The other 2 are Etna, PA, which is not on Route 6, of course, and the Oil City region, Venango County area is also going to be coming online. So we're so excited about that. I think that's really all I have to say. One other thing I want to say is huge thank you to DCED. I know some folks, Honey Stemka's in the room. She's been such a supporter of Heart and Soul. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this program. Like Candace said, it takes a lot of funding and a lot of muscle. DCNR has been a great supporter through our Route 6 partnership. So we're really, really excited to be able to fund the work that community members are doing. This is the one thing I'm going to say. I'm going to bring up Todd. We got Todd, Lucinda, Deb, and Wendy, who are going to talk about what's going on in their communities. This is not an easy program to go through. This is a lot of, I like to say it's a low and slow, but the impact on a community can be really, really great. In a lot of ways, this program is about culture change in communities. It's really about finding the spark. What do people care about? How do we really rethink the way our communities are moving forward? And it really focuses on hidden and missing voices. We know we have this saying in Heart and Soul, the same 10 people come to every conversation, right? You guys know that. You may represent the same 10 people. And we want to hear from those folks, but there's also so many people who live and who are moving into our communities that don't know how to connect, right? Or don't feel comfortable saying what they want to see, what their experience is in the community. There's a lot of storytelling that happens in this. And I think that makes it really special. The fact that folks are able to reach out to the hidden and missing voices and do some work to connect to people who feel disconnected from their community for whatever reason. So in that way, it's not always an easy program to go through. It takes, a lot of work and a lot of muscle. But I'm so proud of these 4 communities, and I'm going to bring them up now. I think we have Lucinda, Todd, Debbie, and Wendy. You guys can come on up. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about Heart and Soul. I'm around, so if you want to talk about Heart and Soul or any other program, I'm here, and it's good to see you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lucinda Leonard from Tidioute, and I'm here. I'll start by showing you a couple slides from our town. Possibly. The arrow. Whoops. There we go. Tidioute's population from the census in 2020 was about 626. I think we're up a little bit now to around 680 some. It's just a small community nestled in a valley at the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains with rich oil and timber history, surrounded by the Allegheny National Forest and along the shores of the Allegheny River. Okay. It's a picture of Tidioute, an aerial view. Tidioute has rich history in both oil and timber industries. Our community showcases many historic buildings and styles of architecture. It's just our school. The first photo there is one of the businesses in downtown in a historic building. And the other is one of the largest homes in Tidioute was just revitalized, refurbished, and there is just one couple living in there, just one single man and woman living in the large home. This is the Hunter's Mansion, and it's a private home built during the oil boom. They actually opened it up for Heart and Soul to have a tea with some of the elderly women in town. And we were able to visit, tour the home, and talk to the women one-on-one and get their ideas about what they would like to see changed in TDU. This is the TDU overlook, overlooking the town, and the river trail that we have developed in town. Some of our wildlife, the bear at the school just a few years ago. And on the river trail, we have an eagle's nest. And so people often walk down the trail to see the eagles. Our boat launch, which is known to be one of the better ones along the Allegheny, because we have public restrooms and it's a large parking area, and we are working on getting a kayak ramp separate from the actual the boat ramp here. TDU sees plenty of outdoor activities from the visitors and residents alike who enjoy everything from floating down the river, kayaking, boating, to fishing and hunting in the nearby Allegheny National Forest. Okay, during phase 1, we introduced TDU Heart and Soul to the community by hosting a variety of events and making our goal to reach everyone and collecting our thin data. During that time, similarities across all age groups were found. Some of what our team members reported to hearing from the community members were our community comes together when there's a common goal or a need. For example, our town, we have a foundation and we own our own school, our library, and our health center. We're not part of the Warren County School District. Okay, we have low crime with safe neighborhoods, and it's a great place to raise a family. The area is relaxing and beautiful, and the word tranquil was used a lot of times. The river that the TDU lies along the Allegheny River, several stories included the river, with some indicating that the river is what brought them to TDU. Some of our past events were, we opened Heart and Soul with a community bonfire. We had a bonfire in our ball field and invited everyone in town to come join us. We had games for the kids. We had live music, food, and just explained what Heart and Soul was and just invited the whole town. We had the tea for some of the elderly women to share and discuss their ideas from what they knew of the past TDU to be up to the present. We have had festivals, fall festivals where we were involved. We've had Christmas festivals where we were involved also. Just numerous different activities that we've been involved in with the town. And pumpkin decorating contests and, just every event that we have in town, we try to be a part of. We also, in phase 1, we had a survey where we asked the people what they liked about TDU and what, if anything, they would like to see changed. We received over 200 surveys, and one of the final questions on the survey asked if they'd be willing to share their stories with us in a one-to-one meeting or an interview with them. And this led us into phase 2, where we actually met face-to-face or did a phone interview with the individuals. We received about 60 personal interviews or phone sessions with people where they shared their stories, and we would tape them with their permission and share those stories back with other members of the community. We're able to see them and hear them. From that, we obtained, we listened to them and kind of obtained what we thought were the most common themes. And from that, we developed what we called 4 value statements, okay, about the town. And the 4 value statements were that the people, or we, cherish our natural environment, like the Allegheny River, Allegheny Mountains, which provide recreation opportunities, camping, fishing, boating, hiking, and walking trails that build pride and community in our residents and town. We cherish a thriving downtown community of local businesses that will help sustain and improve our town's economy. We value a sense of community where people know each other, take care of one another, and feel connected. And we cherish a community that is safe, well-maintained, and beautiful. It instills pride in our community. We then shared these value statements with the public once again and asked them, did we hear you? Throughout the surveys that we sent out, these were our what we heard that you told us that you valued. Did we hear you right? We heard back from about 10% of our population, and the great majority said, yes, you heard us. We are in agreement with this. So now we're in a stage where we are meeting with the public in what we call a change over time meeting, where we meet with them and we're having 4 different meetings, one based on each value statement. And we're going to focus on asking them action steps that we can take action steps that we can make to make those value statements come true, okay? So we're gonna meet. We've met once, and it was very productive. The second meeting's coming up this coming Sunday, and we're inviting different people from the community that seem to fit into that category. So for businesses, we're inviting the business owners. For natural environment, we are working with people that have interest in the river and the forest, like anyone who's involved in the Game Commission that lives in the town, anyone that can help make those action steps come true. And then we open it up also for anyone who would like to join us. Okay, thank you.
Our project coordinator had to work today, so it'll be me with you. Barb Young is our project coordinator. Good morning. I saw Erie News come through the door and it brought flashbacks. They're using our facility when our manhunt was going on. So this is a better venue for them to be at than that. So we started our Heart and Soul 2 years ago. We are currently in our phase two story gathering. When I first came, the Heart and Soul had already started, so the first project I had was to find out what Heart and Soul was all about. I'd like to thank the PA Humanities and DCEDU for funding our project. It's a well worthwhile project. Explain a little bit about Youngsville. We are along the Route 6 corridor here, and it's nestled in the Broken Straw Valley. I'm gonna have to take this, I'm sorry. It's nestled in the Broken Straw Valley. Broken Straw comes from Seneca and Delaware Native American tribes. I told Barb she's gonna have to be there to say that, and she's not here, she abandoned me. The Kushanagwa, the area was named after a species of grass growing taller than a human, dying back in the winter and littering the ground with its dead stems. In English, the Kashandagwa was translated into Broken Straw. That's how Broken Straw got its name. A little bit about the borough. Our population is 1726, roughly. That was 2020, I do believe. Encompasses 1,820 acres, 1.28 square miles, and 7.69 of road miles. That's just a little bit about our borough. We are using encompass. You can see the Youngsville Borough is surrounded by Broken Straw, and we also have a lot of input from Pittsfield. Pittsfield visits our Youngsville Borough quite frequently, so we encompass them in our heart and soul, and we're getting data from them as well and storytelling from them. What is Youngsville Heart and Soul? It's bringing the members of our Youngsville community together to give everyone an opportunity to use their voices to help build a stronger, healthier, more robust community based on fellowship and respect. That's what our goal is. Oh, and as you can see on my shirt, our tagline, Dan helped make, Youngsville begins with you. So that is our tagline. All right. All right, some of our first initial events, we piggybacked with events that had already been established in our community. Up in the far left corner over here is our first event that we initiated, explaining what Heart and Soul was about to our community, was our Christmas walk. And you'll see we're getting thin data up there. We shared the history of Youngsville, famous people that had come from Youngsville, businesses. We started with lumber and grist mill. So those were featured on our board there to explain the history of Youngsville. There are some of our thin data. We also have a music in the park that happens every Thursday. So we visited that as well, gathering our stories and explaining what the Heart and Soul is all about. Our Corn Fest down here in the left corner. We partnered with them as well. It's well-known, when you say Corn Fest, everyone associates it with Youngsville. It's been Youngsville, started in Youngsville, and it'll continue in Youngsville. There's some of our thin data. We did have a board up for our community members to, write their thin data, what they liked about Youngsville, what they'd like to see in Youngsville. We also had individuals volunteering to go around and record and gather stories throughout the event as well. They were wandering around. These are some of the questions. We are active on our social media sites as well, on our website. We have a Facebook site. We also have a Youngsville, You Might Be From Youngsville site, and we were posing these questions on our website. What is your fondest memory? As we look to the future, what is important in Youngsville? And we did post questions like that as well on our social media site. So that is still ongoing. These are some of our answers that we received. A lot of it is about feeling safe, a feeling of safety and community. So it's being able to walk the streets and feel safe, church bells, meeting all the new friends, wonderful people. The safety again is mentioned. But lazy, cool summer afternoons, walking around town, the library, huge shade trees, blue skies, swimming in the creek, as you can see. So these are some of the feedback that people love about Youngsville. We recently had a photo contest. I love the one on the bottom with the leaves. That unfortunately did not win our contest. But we posed the question, what are some of the things that you like about, in Youngsville, what do you like? There was categories and about our Youngsville area. Our winner, these were taken, the ones along the creek, we do have a walking trail, and those were taken along our walking trail. The winner was the one on the right with the flag. And that will be we're going to put it on a canvas and put it in our conference room at the Borough Building. Again, these are some of the pictures from our, we had a Corn Fest, our Corn Fest, and this is from our Corn Fest. You'll see our local Lonnie's up there throwing his pizza dough in the air. We had dunking booths. We had vendors, our kettle corn, and I do believe this is the video. Do I just hit the forward, or do I hit play, or just keep going? Share a video of our Corn Fest. No, it didn't play. Is it the next one? Okay. Okay. We do have a video of our Corn Fest, I do believe. This is also, we piggybacked with our Christmas walk, and our award winner for our float is the one on the top. It was very unique. He actually had the deer heads, and he was a Santa Claus, so that was our first prize winner. And again, we had a gingerbread contest, decorating contest, and someone had replicated Youngsville, downtown Youngsville, businesses in the gingerbread, so that was our first place winner too as well. And our Christmas tree that is by our local bank. But in all these events, we were collecting stories, asking, what people love about Youngsville. And again, events in Youngsville was another answer that we received a lot. They loved getting together as a community at our local events. Our Community Expo was new this year. Oh, it was on the Community Expo. Oh, I apologize. That's why it was the wrong video. We invited all of our local organizations and businesses to be a part of this. We wanted to give them an opportunity to showcase what their organization does or what their business does in our Youngsville community. We had a ton of local food. We had so much leftover food that we had gotten, but we had gotten from our area, our Dairy Queen, our local pizzerias. There was 2 pizzerias. Our local bar, we had that, bar restaurant, they donated food. It was very, very well received. In fact, we've gotten requests to do it again next year. They loved the venue. They learned a lot. The community got together. It was wonderful. So I do have a video of that event. We had a giveaway for baskets that if you visited a table, as you visited the tables when you went around, you got an entry form for our giveaways. So the more tables you visited and learned about, the more entries you had for our giveaways at the end. We also had a touch-a-truck, as you can see at the end there. Our police cars were there. We had a local school bus that the kids could get on. Fire trucks they could get in. Our police car, they didn't show the police car, but the police car was there. The kids were getting in and interacting with the policemen and the firemen. It was a fantastic event. We are continuing, right there. And we have gathered, at this point in time, we have gathered over 325 pieces of thin data and over 41 surveys. And we have close to 50 stories. When she made this, I would say that we were close to 50, but I bet we have 50 now because of ongoing events. You'll see the tree in the corner of our conference room at the Borough Building. Those are all postcards that people filled out with thin data. So it's on display in our conference room. You can go in, people can read the cards and things of the ideas and that people have, wrote on their cards for the Heart and Soul. So we are continuing. We're not finished yet. It's a wonderful program, and I thank you for your time. Oh, I forgot to show our...
Good morning, Debbie Shirtleff. I am representing Wyoming County Heart and Soul, and so grateful for the invitation to be with you today because it gave me the opportunity to travel a few hundred miles across Route 6. And around every turn, right, there's a new view, there were new towns, and I feel like our heart and soul journey has been similar. This is the roadmap we've used throughout this journey, involving the 3 tenets of Heart and Soul, which is to involve everyone, focus on what matters most, and play the long game. We were about halfway through this process when we talked last year, vetting and developing our Heart and Soul statements. Across all 9 zip codes of Wyoming County, open-ended question, what do you love the most? We heard the top 5 things, no matter where we were. They developed into our heart and soul statements. Nature, communities, the people, the rural life, and recreation. We took those themes out to the community in dinner and conversation events. Using the Change Over Time tool, which looks at that theme, how important it is to the community, where it shows up, what it looked like in the past, what it looks like today, and where we hope it goes. At those conversations, we're very diverse, widespread input, which helped us to have very inclusive ideas and very inclusive outcomes. So we held the events in a church basement, a rec center, a school, an outdoor pavilion, represented by teens, by mature adults, by young families. Those events garnered 264 ideas of what we should be doing. And you can see, right, how working through that process, some of the ideas and focus areas that come up in each of those themes. I think one of the key things for me that I've learned throughout this process, and that we've learned as a team as well, is that throughout our county, representing 18 townships, our Township Association has issued a proclamation understanding that those are the values that are important to our residents. And they will consider those as they make decisions moving forward. 26,000 residents. So no matter the distance between our homes, no matter the differences in our age or appearances, no matter the division sometimes in our beliefs, we truly are united, heart and soul, in what we love about where we live. And that's key. And bringing that message to everyone is really key. So from there, you can hear me, we took those 264 ideas, took them back out to our community through a lot of events this past summer, and asked them to help us prioritize our focus. They spent their dollars saying, this is important to me, this is important to me. So we had over 1,000 votes that we can bring back and say, this is where we focus. Key to that next step is developing our partnerships. We are very fortunate in Wyoming County that our team, this heart and soul volunteer team, includes our county government, our Chamber of Commerce, our Heritage Region, our Visitors Bureau, our small town communities, and I probably missed some educational institutions, some other on there. So everyone can collaborate and partner as we go into implementing our projects. So brief data gathering, that's all our numbers. Some of our projects already in progress. We are very excited to have our very first state park in Wyoming County, the Vosburgh Neck. Expanding trails, community gardens, just opened a historic train station, and focusing on ecotourism, some facilities for youth. So things already rolling, already happening. From this point, we need to develop our action plan, get that into a document, get it shared out, and set up a stewardship team that will see that this heart and soul process is embedded in the community moving forward. So to mirror every other heart and soul town and team you've heard today, I will say thank you to Route 6, all the partners. Just like that travel along the corridor yesterday, this journey has been beautiful. It has been surprising. It has yielded vistas and outcomes that I don't think we even know yet. So thank you.
All right, good. I think it's just afternoon now, and I am very aware that the food is out. I can smell it, so I'm gonna keep this quick. But I'm Todd Poosley. I am the Community Development Manager at NeighborWorks Northeastern Pennsylvania. We're based in Scranton, and I've had the privilege of working with the city of Carbondale, which is just north of Scranton, and leading them through the heart and soul process. So, would you mind pulling up? Oh, you don't have my slides? Apologies, I thought you did. Apologies to everyone else that you will just have to listen to me now rather than seeing my slides. But so, like our other communities here, we kicked off the heart and soul planning process back in 2021. We did our story gathering last year. We were able to collect about 150 surveys and then sat down with 70 different residents in Carbondale to talk to them one-on-one about their experiences living there. All of those surveys, interviews, the information that we heard from people went into our heart and soul statements. We ended up with 6 statements focused on the people, the history, nature, the small town feel in Carbondale, family-friendly environment, and local businesses and community events. Those were the 6 things that we heard were most important and valuable to the people of Carbondale. And some of the things that, some of the impacts that we've seen already, one, Deb mentioned the importance of partnerships. All of the Heart and Soul communities are built around local partnerships. We couldn't have done it without the help of organizations like Valley in Motion, one of our community development organizations that led our story gathering and listening. We worked closely with the Greater Carbondale Chamber of Commerce that connected us to events where we could meet people and talk to them. We work closely with our housing authority. So Carbondale has a citywide housing authority, and that's a place where we're able to connect with a lot of the hidden voices that you heard discussed. And then we work with organizations like our local YMCA, our local library, some other community living centers, again, to connect with residents where they are. As much as possible, we tried to bring what we were doing to them rather than asking them to come out to us. You heard a little bit about conversations. I think one of the really great things about the Heart and Soul model is that it's built on discussions with people, listening to them first, and really focusing on what we call the hidden voices, the people that don't come out normally or don't provide input, trying to find them and find them where they are, and speak to them about their experiences in your community. We were really intentional about trying to create spaces that were about conversation and not about complaints and arguments, right? I think that tends to be the things that folks focus on first is what do we need to fix? Instead, we wanted to say, why do you live in Carbondale? What keeps you here? What do you value about this community? And then later we'll get to the place where we can talk about how do we improve Carbondale together. We too use the changeover time tool that Deb did a great job of describing, which I just love because again, it takes you out of that space of let's gripe about the problems here and instead look at something and say, okay, well, what did this really look like 10 years ago? Maybe it wasn't quite as rosy as I thought it was, and where do we want it to be 10 years from now, right? And it's a scale, right? And not everything's going to be perfect, but how can we just move the needle a little bit and improve things? And then I think the last major impact that we've seen so far is that our work in Carbondale has really helped to increase civic engagement in the community. I think Deb mentioned that the Wyoming County Commissioners have passed a proclamation kind of adopting their heart and soul statements. We did something similar. Carbondale City Council adopted our heart and soul statements, and they've been involved in the planning process. But we've also seen a couple of instances here of residents getting engaged in civic ways that we hadn't seen before. One of those is a great story. One of the city council seats kind of opened up unexpectedly. One of the members had to resign. So, the city had asked for, folks to submit their resumes if they were interested in filling that seat. And the longtime city clerk, Michelle Bannon, had told me, typically they'd have to go and chase people down to try to fill this seat, right? Nobody was interested in it. In the midst of our heart and soul work, she told me they received 18 applications for this one city council seat. And by and large, they were from people she didn't know. And she's longtime city clerk in Carbondale. So I thought she literally knew everyone in the town. And so for her to say, these were people that she wasn't familiar with, that hadn't been engaged in different ways, and now all of a sudden said, yeah, we want to be a part of this, right? And we want to serve on city council and help in different ways that we can. It was just I think really eye-opening for me. And then the other thing that's really interesting, Michelle Bannon, who I had mentioned, longtime city clerk, also recently decided to run for mayor. So she's been city clerk for well over a decade, well over multiple decades at this point. And she finally decided she's been one of our core team members to actually take the next step and run for mayor. And she was pleased, and I'm pleased that she ended up winning both the Democratic and the Republican tickets in the primary. So I don't want to say she's a shoo-in in November, but she's got a great chance of becoming Carbondale's next mayor. And these are all things that came out of the Heart and Soul process, which just really created a lot of momentum and change in Carbondale. So I'm excited to see where it goes next. And as everyone else did, I want to just thank Candace, Route 6, PA Humanities, DCED, all of the other funders that made this possible. And good luck to the two new communities I think you're going to find. It's just a fantastic process, and your communities are going to benefit in a lot of different ways through it. So thank you.
Thank you to those 4 communities. Again, Jen is here from the PA Humanities, so if you are a community who would like to consider something like this, or you think you would maybe a good fit, please see Jen.
So, speaking of sports accomplishments, it's nice to see another gentleman in the green jacket in the corner, another Masters winner. I think he missed it. All right. But the class was great. Thank you so much. This conference has been wonderful. Thank you very much for having me. And all right, my name's Jeff Sigler, and I run a consulting firm called Revitalize or Die. So I go with brash titles sometimes. Your city is sick, so I'm just desperate to get attention, I guess. But I grew up in Lima, Ohio, which we will spend some time talking about. Got my degree in economics, and then later went to school at Virginia Commonwealth University for urban planning. Was a Main Street manager for 2 years in Lancaster, Ohio, before running the Ohio Main Street program for about a decade. And that is this is kind of an introduction to me and my story and my keynote all wrapped up in one. By the way, this is typically 45 minutes. I've got 30, so we're going to go really fast. All my fun anecdotes are thrown out the window. All my great jokes you're going to miss. But I was doing this work. As the Ohio Main Street coordinator, we were constantly, every week you're out visiting with different communities and trying to work with these towns. And it was really rewarding, but it was also very frustrating because, every year I would go back to East Liverpool, and you think you turned a corner. You think you made a breakthrough, and you go back again the following year, and nothing had changed. Everybody's still pissed at one another. There's always grievances. No, don't trust the chamber. They're dirty, and the mayor's bad. And this councilman once called my granddaddy this word, and it's like, oh my God, you guys are exhausting. But it also was a very depressing. I never was really excited when that trip was coming up on the calendar. I never really enjoyed going there, and I always felt crummy when I went there. Anybody here from East Liverpool? Sorry about this. But it was a situation where I always felt crummy when I had to go there for work. And one day I was leaving the office, heading to East Liverpool, and my coworker Frank said, "Hey, have a great day in the Depression Belt." I know. I was like, haha, that's funny. I'm like, oh, that's really sad. And it is really sad. And it got me thinking on the drive there. That's like, why is that? Why does it feel like depression to go there? Why does it feel so bad? Why am I run down just for being there for a few hours? And I realized, like, yeah, this place is run down. Those settings do affect us emotionally, like 100%. When I mean, the streets were in bad shape, the sidewalks were in bad shape, the buildings were falling apart. For whatever reason, year round, it was like March 15th weather. And so I got to thinking, like, I don't like to be here for a little bit. What's it like to live here? It would also affect me. It would change who I am. It would change my outlook. It would beat down my sense of pride. It would my optimism and all those things that are really good about people would start to be negated by these surroundings that are declining. And so what dawned on me is, like, I kept going back to that place saying, why don't these fools ever listen to my great advice? And finally had to reckon with the fact that we were given the wrong advice. We were treating the wrong thing. It wasn't this technical problem. It wasn't, a new plan wasn't going to fix it, or more investment or jobs or whatever, whatever dumb thing we were telling them every year, like, once you have this, everything will be fine. That wasn't it. And what dawned on me, it's like, oh, they were dealing with apathy. The community had grown apathetic, and rightly so. Like, let's get that clear. It is a very rational response when a bunch of bad things happen to grow apathetic, when buildings, when your surroundings decline, when wealth moves away, when you keep getting bad news, like, that's a natural response. And that's what they were dealing with. And that's a very different set of tools. A community dealing with apathy, once that I understood that it was a very different set of tools we needed to start to apply. We needed to approach this thing differently. We were giving bad advice all the time, and it didn't work, not because they were wrong, but because we were trying to treat the wrong thing. And it doesn't matter how you grew apathetic. What matters is how we get out of that. And I think we've spent too long in community development, economic development, trying to sort of drive out of the ditch the same way we got into it. Look, this community lost their manufacturer. If we can just restore that, or this community, whatever X, Y, or Z reason, it's like we can't just undo that and fix it, because it's switched from being a technical problem to an emotional problem. People are emotional. Cities are full of people. Towns are full of people. So I get really frustrated at how often it's like, no, only people in finance understand how this works. Like, no. If you understand human nature, which you do, it being that you're human, you understand how communities work. Like, you've got every piece of knowledge available to you if you simply go about, experiencing human nature all day long, which you do. Things like joy, things like beauty, all those give us make you an expert in community development, more so than everybody that tries to, throws the acronyms at you, that tries to speak down to people for not understanding how this thing works. So next step. But kind of jumped ahead, but yes, cities are emotional, very, very emotional, and we have to treat them emotionally. We have to understand that they're just full of people, and if we're going to fix this problem, we simply need to start thinking about how people behave, how they act, what makes them happy, what compels them, what makes them feel a sense of attachment, and what makes people put down roots. Like, this is a human problem. Humans are emotional. We have to start approaching it that way. So next, the next phase of this was I was working in Massillon, Ohio. I was working with a planning firm there, and we were doing the public input part, which is where you ask everybody what they want and then completely ignore it. And then 5 years later, you do the same thing, which is a really funny thing. I've learned that, like, public input's really easy. We can do a quick example here. Who here would like their downtown to be super cute, full of little shops with upper floor apartments that's not really car friendly, but instead pedestrian friendly? Raise your hand. Okay, public input portion is pretty much done. Again, human nature. Like, I've never met anyone yet. Sorry, I'm already going off my own. I've never met anybody yet that's like, I love the empty buildings downtown. That's great. Make Main Street wider. That's great. I wish cars would go faster. Like, we keep doing these things that nobody wants. Stop it. Also enforce your building codes. So I was in Massillon, Ohio, and we were doing the public input thing, and pride kept coming up. They're like, we're really proud. Like, okay, what's your greatest attribute? We're the proudest community in Ohio. Like, what's your worst attribute? We're too proud. You're like, settle down, guys. Calm down. We get it. And later we were walking around, went for a walk around the downtown, and it was like, that's weird. They've touted how proud they are, but I can't see a single sign of it. It's not on this, it wasn't in anyone's front yard. It certainly wasn't in the way they were caring for their sidewalks. It wasn't in the way they were caring for their buildings. It wasn't in the way the businesses were cleaning their windows. City Hall, they did, and it dawned on me, pride's, you can see pride. You can look at someone and say, that person is proud by how they carry themselves, how they dress. You can see someone's home and say, they're proud of that because how they maintain it. And you can look at a community and decide whether or not that community is proud depending on how they take care of it. Pride is something that is extremely visible. So it was a real conundrum what they were talking. Later I figured out they were really proud of their high school football team, maybe a little too much. But that was also a really good lesson because what they had done, what it taught me was that humans are desperate to invest their pride somewhere. And if they weren't able to do it in the community, if they weren't able to do it in the downtown, if it wasn't in the streets and the sidewalks and the buildings, they were looking for somewhere else to be able to place that. It might not be the best place, but it was a lesson that people are desperate to experience a sense of pride, and we need to give them plenty of opportunities to do that. My wife is from Quip, and the sign always kind of is to me, one of the best examples of how that works and why pride and apathy matter and how we think about it and how it affects us. If anybody's ever driven past the sign as you're going down along the Ohio River, past Aliquippa, when you see the sign, this is the community's announcement. Here's who we are. This is a rusted out sign in a patch of weeds in front of a falling down building. So that's what the community is telling you all about itself. Now, certainly, Aliquippa has gone through some terrible times. I get it. I understand. But it matters so much, no matter what they're dealing with. This is just one, this is what clothes they put on today. This is what they've decided. That's not an expensive thing to fix, but it is coloring everyone's opinion that ever drives past it. What's worse, what's even harder and worse about this sign is, what if you have to put on your blinker and turn off at that exit? How's it going to affect your self-esteem when this is your town? When you have to deal with the fact that you live in a town that you don't think is good enough? You ever run into somebody that's like, why would you move here? Or why would you invest here? That's people dealing with their own self-esteem issues of hey, I like myself, but this community is crummy. I can't tell you how many times I've seen where people I'd love a great steakhouse, but these idiots I live with wouldn't. I'd live in a nice apartment downtown, but no one else here would. They all like trash. And it's no, human nature. Everyone likes nice things. Everyone likes nice things. We got to stop telling ourselves these same stories. So it really dawned on me through this that pride and apathy are kind of the fulcrum in which we're operating or should be operating in community development. And so I thought about why had my town changed so much? Why had this community I grew up in? What happened to our towns? What happened that they used to be these proud places and changed so much? And so I used my hometown as an example of to understand this. And what I realized was that what these towns had were all the attributes of pride. They to build the Lima and to build the Corry and all these communities, in this period, a couple hundred years ago, there was a lot of effort that went in. This is the Great Black Swamp region, a ton of effort. Effort makes us proud when we put in effort. You put in effort to get smarter, you put in effort to get stronger, to get, to be better at your job. You put in effort to learn the guitar, whatever it is. You feel good when you're done exerting that effort because you've done something positive. Human nature. Effort makes us feel proud. With effort comes progress. Most all the time, effort should result in progress. And it did, all our communities, that resulted in a tremendous progress. We, through all this hard work and effort, we took, a patch of grass, sticks and stones, and started turning them into streets and houses. And, dirt streets became paved streets, and wood buildings became brick buildings. And a tremendous amount of progress is made. And we feel proud when things get better. That is something to remind you. Stop having conversations, stop meeting and complaining about parking. Make progress. It's not political. Just get better. If you take every single physical attribute in your community and improvement, it will 100% get better. That does not need to be discussed to two ends. It does not even need 10 committees to do. Ownership. We have a tremendous, our communities had a much stronger sense of ownership. The buildings, the commerce, all the things that mattered in the community were owned by people in the community. That makes us feel good. We're always more proud of a local business. No one runs out, when Panera opens in town, no one's running out to, oh my God, everybody, let me take pictures of this cool Panera. beauty matters so much. And this is the one that really gets me. If anybody in any of your meetings scoffs at the idea of beauty or says like, oh, it's like putting lipstick on a pig, just like throw them out. Kick them or throw them out or whatever. But like, beauty matters so much. What a ridiculous thing to sort of negate and say that doesn't matter. Like, we aspire, we travel. The most popular things in the world, like, you can sell a car for more if it's beautiful. You can sell a house for more, it's beautiful. Everybody wants to visit places that are beautiful. Like, of course beauty matter. Aesthetics shape everything about our lives. But then when it comes to our community development, we're like, no, beauty doesn't matter. That's just nonsense. Like, so we were proud of our towns because they were so beautiful, because the people that built them understood it mattered. They understood. The architects, the designers, the developers, everybody understood that if they wanted good residents, if they wanted people to be civic-minded, it better be pretty. And such a rich sense of community, those connections between people. And people were on the streets, all right? They weren't spread out. We hadn't sprawled out yet. They weren't in their cars all the time or online all the time. They bumped into one another, and those connections matter, and that's where we feel this rich sense of community. And we're proud of community. Like, if somebody from your town does well, you feel good. Like, if you see somebody from your town become famous, it's like, oh, he's one of us. Like, there's something proud in that. Like, you probably didn't have anything to do with it, but still, it makes you feel good. And that's that sense of community that's kind of crazy how it affects us. And legacy. I should have warned everybody, this is an incredibly sad presentation, too. But these are my grandparents, and they both established legacies in Lima. Started businesses and had real estate and got involved and were in all the service organizations. It did so much to try to make, like, a legacy is such a way to demonstrate your pride, and our communities used to have so many legacies. Sorry, with the formatting moving over from Keynote to PowerPoint has messed everything up, but you can get the gist. A town to be proud of. So what Lima was, what our communities were places that we could be incredibly proud of. To walk down the street, to see people to every shop that you went into, you'd know the person running it, you'd know all the building owners, their names would probably be up on top, you'd see all the progress being made, all the effort being put in. Like, that was a place we could be immensely proud of, and that mattered so much. And I think that that's why people were more civic-minded. I think that that's why the kids didn't move away. That's why people didn't feel the need at 18. They're like, oh, I've got to find somewhere else. Like, why would you leave? Why would you leave a place that gave you all those emotional experiences? But we're like, you know what? I'd rather be able to get a Whopper in my SUV. We made this huge mistake. Like, look, the car's an invention, and it's fine. I don't despise the car. I despise that we keep building places that force everybody to own one to survive. I'm seeing some fist pumping back there. Like, it's just an invention, and we completely overhauled our whole society around it. The countryside, we built suburbia, but we also destroyed our cities. Like, Main Street didn't have to get that wide. We didn't have to completely change everything to accommodate this one invention, and we're really paying the price for it. Because with this car culture, what we did was we started this sprawl economy, or the convenience economy, or whatever you want to call it, but it changed so much. Everything in our towns was produced locally. We had this closed-looped economy. We were self-sufficient. We were sustainable. And then with the car came sprawl and came big box businesses. And so our towns got populated with all these businesses that weren't local. And I tell you, when an out-of-town business shows up, they don't make your town wealthier. Let's be real clear. They're extracting something, and it's money. And that's fine. I'm not arguing it's capitalism, but I would urge everybody to think about the cost of of having more national chains. What does it cost? How much? Home Depot, for example, $9 million a Home Depot extracts from a community every year. That money could go a long, long way. That's a lot of businesses. Or Walmart, for example. Walmart's 50 small businesses under one roof. That's 50 families that used to run, a dress shop, that used to run the sporting goods store. So we're paying the price now for changing to this sprawl economy, and it's really changed our communities so much. So it's caused us to reduce our standards. This wouldn't have been acceptable 100 years ago. Absolutely not. You wouldn't see a building falling apart. You wouldn't see a home falling apart, a downtown building in this condition, and everybody walk past it and just say, c'est la vie. No, and it shouldn't be acceptable today. Absolutely not. There's been too much pressure to reduce our standards, and we're paying the cost for it. You can't live a dignified life among squalid surroundings. If your downtown is run down, it's really hard to feel sophisticated and nice and pretty, which we should aspire to feel. The percentage of ownership has dropped so dramatically. I mean, so much, so little, I'm sorry, so little in our communities do we own in the community anymore. And that changes. It's harder. It's harder to be proud of things that you have no relationship to. It makes sense to be apathetic when you're forced to feel like a consumer, when every action, when just getting groceries or running the typical errands of the day forces you into these places that you have no connection to, that you know that when you spend there, your money is going to leave the community and it's not really doing anything to help. Work. It certainly has changed the nature of work. And look, I'm not here to disparage anybody that shows up to work for a paycheck. Of course, that's great. But it means it's going to be a lot harder to be proud of your job at Applebee's than it is for a local business. Like, when all of the jobs are for some sort of national chain that doesn't really benefit the community that much, you're going to be less proud. You're going to be less happy. It's going to affect you emotionally. That's very much just like that effort and progress that you put into your work 40 hours a week. Like, that affects you and your well-being. And if you can't feel good about that, that's gonna have an impact. It's certainly the nature of community has changed. As we've spread out, as we've built more sprawl, we're more time in cars. More time. We're always behind a screen, a phone screen or a windshield screen, and community doesn't occur behind screens. It simply happens face to face. There's no other way. Community only happens face to face, and we've removed that from our communities, and that's harder for people to feel attached to them. And it's family. This is mine. And what's so sad about how Lima changed is that, in 1.5 generations, we all left. Not because I don't believe it's all of a sudden because my family got so fancy. We were no bougier than my grandparents or anything, but the town had changed so much. And by the time that we were graduating high school, my parents were like, yeah, you got to go. You can't stay here. And I'm sure all of you have had that experience of seeing all, the kids go away, the next generation. Whether it's them that say, I don't want to be here, whether it's you saying you should try to find greener pastures, but that's the effect of these towns going away. And now, it's the saddest thing, because here are these people I would like to see every day that I would I don't think families should have to break up and move apart just because somebody turned 18, but that's the cost of these communities' decline. And it's certainly devastated all these legacies. So, this is my grandfather's motel in Lima. This is what that spot looks like today. Every trace of him is wiped off the face of the earth. This gentleman that was an incredible person in Lima that had done so much, put his heart and soul into the community, gone. My father's father came back from the war, started a food distribution near here in Lima. This isn't the actual place, but it's near here. And that's what that area looks like today. So we wonder why residents are apathetic. Of course they are. It would be ridiculous not to see all these things change and not be affected emotionally, not to have it impact how you behave. Beauty went out the window. It's sort of like, I think about it like fast food. When you cook for yourself, it's slow, it's healthy. We had a beautiful meal last night, farm to table type of stuff where it's like, you can feel how special it is. It can't be hurried. It took patience and time and somebody with some skill, and that all shines through in the food. And architecture used to be the same way. It took craftsmen, it took craftspeople, it took patience, it took skill, and these quality ingredients, and you always had something great. But it's like, nope, now it has to be fast. It has to be like fast food. We got to get it out quick. It's got to be profitable. Who cares how it affects you? And now we're kind of dealing with the cost of living in surroundings that aren't nice, that aren't attractive. I'm not going to get too far into this, but what's really incredible that there's a lot more research and data out about is now how these rundown places are affecting our mental health. This is New Kensington. Most all of us look at that street and we'll say oh, I bet you a bunch of criminals and addicts live there. Yeah, not because they all had this smart real estate scheme that they were going to buy up all of New Kensington, but a bunch of regular people succumb to surroundings. If I lived there, it would affect me. If I lived there, I would grow depressed. If I lived there, I'd be susceptible to addiction. Humans don't change. We adapt to our surroundings. And when our surroundings are run down, we start to feel run down. And that's when we're susceptible to all these other issues. So much research is coming out. It's absolutely fascinating how much place affects us, how much our surroundings change our mental health, and why it matters so much that we put ourselves in nicer places, that we put in ourselves, it's within our brain. This is chaos and disorder, and all of our brains recognize that. You can look at it and say, something's not right, and it's making me feel weird, and it's making me feel uncomfortable. It's a little bit of trauma every time you set foot in one of those places. Well, most of us would set foot in a place like this and be like, kids, roll them up, let's get out of here. What if you live there? What if that's where you call home? Like, you're going to change. It's going to change how you think, behave, how you interact. There's a huge cost to this stuff. Here's a video on that about how a lot of research was done on rats, and basically it's the cages. You put rats in a small, isolated cage, they'll basically drug themselves to death. If you put them in a enclosure that has a lot to do and other rats, because they're social, they won't touch any of the drugs. So, in essence, it comes down to place. Place matters so much. We used to have these beautiful, amazing places. We adapt to our places. Now we've let the cool part of our town decay, and then we've started building a bunch of things that it's really hard to feel good about, hard to be proud of, and we're paying the price. So again, I think about what changed, what happened, what lessons can we learn from this? This was my grandparents' Lima. Stunning, beautiful, gorgeous, full of community, full of these pretty buildings. You'd see people you know. There was a ton of local ownership. Like, why would anyone ever leave? This is what they did to it. This is what I grew up with. This is the Lima that they gave me. You know, my grandparents, they gave them this beautiful thing, like, take care of this, make it nicer. This is what they gave my generation. They're like, here's this piece of garbage. Why don't you like it? Why aren't you more civic-minded? Why don't you go outside more? Like, I didn't do this, you know, and like, but you see this, like, devoid of beauty, devoid of ownership, local ownership, devoid of love, devoid of attachment, like, all the things that matter to people emotionally aren't in that, and then you wonder why people are apathetic. You wonder why our society has changed. You wonder why kids don't go outside to play, like, you know, kids these days. That drives me crazy. Like, parents these days, you know, like, we've changed so much of the built environment, and we're paying the price for it, and so we have to change this. We have to look at what works better, what makes people feel good. Like, we're emotional creatures. That's a place that's going to create a lot of emotions that are negative, that no one can feel a sense of attachment to. That screams apathy, and we're dealing with this apathy epidemic. We have to do better. So that's all the depressing part. We'll move on to actually what do we do. But it's a truly sad story. It's truly sad how our community's changed and what it's done to us as people. So with that, understanding, like, yes, our communities grew apathetic for good reason, for very good reason. When you see decline, we grow apathetic. When we get bad news year after year after year, we just start to think tomorrow's going to be bad too. Like, yeah, that's a very logical thing to do. How we fix it is pride. Like, pride is the antithesis of apathy. Apathy is not caring at all. Pride is caring a great deal. So to combat this issue of apathy, we have to start making people proud. We have to give them reasons to feel a sense of civic pride. And this is my Photoshop work, so if anybody needs any graphic design help, I'm available. But something that I want to interject real quick. All right, I want to interject this real quick too, that, like, we do this thing in community development that's kind of, it's frustrating and it's counterproductive, but it's like, how do we get everybody on board so we can make things nicer? Stop doing that. Stop trying to get everybody on board. You might be the 10% of the people in your community that can look at a rundown thing and say, I see how it can be better. Not everybody looks like at a junker car and says, I'm going to fix that up. 10% of people might, but they're not out here trying to get the rest of us to do it. They just make it nicer, and then we're like, oh, I love that thing. That's gorgeous. Stop trying to get everybody involved to make your community nicer. They're not going to like it when it's run down. Make it nicer, and they'll just like it. Like, they will get engaged naturally when they have something nice to be proud of. But we keep doing it the other way around, and it's like 40 years of this isn't working. Like, let's give it up. Just make it nicer, and people will come around. So how do we build civic pride through these 5 areas? Identity, ownership, communityness, standards, and appearances. So let's walk through some of these. Identity is huge. And Corey's been great about it. I've loved seeing it. There's the event that's going on tonight. I was like, yeah, what is it, Corsages and Climax. Like, wait, what? What is happening? Like, this is a freaky town. But it's like, but once I read it, like, oh, how cool. How cool that you're celebrating these things that make your town unique, that make your town, that make people proud of this place. Love it. In here, I was just looking around earlier. There's a bunch of signs from Corry manufacturers. Like, that's the type of thing where it's always sort of reminding you of your identity, always reminding you that great things happened here. Great people are from here. Like, we're special for all these reasons. We need identity. It's like, that's a big part of who we are in Pride. It's just that history of each and every one of us. So we've got to work to foster a stronger sense of identity. Traditions are an incredible way to do this. Not a fundraiser, not like just a tradition. This is a bridge dinner in Sag Harbor, Maine. Like, it's gorgeous. And like, I bet you that's an incredibly emotional experience. That makes, when you have family traditions, like we're the only ones that do this thing on Christmas Eve or whatever, like that makes you feel good and closer, and like our family's weird and special. Like, communities need the same thing. Amish country, they do these barn raisings in a day. Like, that's awesome. Helping one another out, having this great tradition. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Dingus Days, right, for the Polish community. I see some pierogi lovers out there. Have events that speak to your community. If you're an all-Italian community, don't have Irish days, like do things that really speak to your community, and that builds identity. Certainly celebrate local history. What happened here? What trials and tribulations have you been through? Hold those up, remind people, because like it feels good to come from a town full of like amazing people. This is one I started in my community in Ohio. Now, Thanksgiving morning, we'd hike up Mount Pleasant and have some coffee and hot chocolate and just look over the community, and like it'd bring tears to your eyes. I don't know why, but it was the most special event of the year. I don't know why, but it sure made us all feel more rooted together. Standards. No institution, individual, or business has ever improved by lowering standards. Yet at the municipal level, it is constantly like, let's lower standard. Like, let's not ask anything of anybody, and that'll get us better. No, we don't want to bother anybody about building codes. That'll get us better. Like, it's not working. Lowering standards has been a disaster. We have to raise them to improve. We have to have more of one another. Because when we give, like, asking more of somebody is really a gift. Asking more of a business owner or a volunteer or a property owner, you're giving them the chance to improve. Progress feels good. This is enforce your building codes. Everybody start doing it. It drives me crazy. I don't know. Again, I do a lot of these meetings. I've seen about 5 people that are like, I don't want the building codes enforced. I'm like, oh, what building do you own? And they're like, that one that's falling over. Like, weird. There's only a handful of people in every community that don't want building codes enforced, and they're the ones that they're the deadbeats. They're the deadbeat owners. Everybody else wants those codes enforced. It is a must. Like, if we don't enforce rules, they don't matter. What's the point of having laws if we're not going to enforce them? So it's this is the single biggest, most important, easiest thing you can do is enforce the codes in the books, bring up the standard. I love these. These are catching on. Paris did it first. Knoxville just recently did it, and they're catching on in other places. In essence, it's a microphone that tickets you for if your car or motorcycle is too loud, because I know each one of us has been woken up or had our kids woken up by some gentleman that might be compensating for a little something. Like, dude, I don't care how loud it is. Like, that's not going to solve your problem. What a great standard. Like, I'm tired of it. People shouldn't be woken up by somebody doing so it's great. You can have standards. A community should have standards. Stick to them. Hurting people, who cares whose feelings it hurts? The whole community suffers when we don't have standards. This is a great one, just a gentle nudge. We've noticed, okay, there's other ways to raise standards. Give people a little compliment. Board role, raise standards for your boards. Yes, it's wonderful that anybody volunteers, but that's still not enough. A great board means you need a lot out of your volunteers. You can have design standards and national chains will still come. Investment will still happen. In fact, the higher your standards are, the more likely to your experience investment. This is a really cool story, and then I need to speed up a little bit, but this was in Hattiesburg. I was working down there a couple of years ago. Had a great conversation with the real estate development community and local government, and the bank president was like, oh my God, I see. Red tape doesn't scare off investors, it's risk. Red tape mitigates risk. Investors are worried about risk. So in essence, having regulations is good for investment. He's like, whoa. And he turns to the mayor. He's like, I'll never lend on another project in this town until you start enforcing the building codes. Mayor's like, done. And 6 months later, this $40 million project was proposed in downtown Hattiesburg. And at first, and before they said yes, they're like, nope, we have standards. And they kicked it back to the developer and said, you got to fix these 5 things. Otherwise, we're out. Developer's like, this is the community I want to be in then. Ownership and engagement, we've got to remind people that this is your community, that you pay for it, that you own it, that you're responsible for it too. You have to take care of it yourself as well. I've got a rental car today. I'm not going to wash it on the way home. We don't take that much care of things that we don't own. We've got to remind people. We've got to do a lot of steps to make people feel like they have some ownership in their community. Great public space is one of the best ways to do that. Not just parks, but great public space, squares and plazas and things like that, places where people hang out. Great public space is the best reminder of that ownership and engagement. Love this. The mayor over in Bloomsburg does litter and libations. So Saturday morning, meet me. We're going to clean up trash and go drink beer. And a lot of people show up, and like it's made people feel more civic. And anytime we clean up something, we feel like if you've ever cleaned up a roadside, every time you drive past, you're like, that's mine. That's human nature. We imparted some of ourselves on it. We need to do more of that. Stop asking people to listen to your dumb reports. Ask them to pick up trash. Ask them to pull weeds. Ask them to plant flowers. That's meaningful volunteer work. We need more small developers. Incremental Development Alliance is a wonderful organization that helps grow small developers. Community-ness. We grow attached to people in our community. Until we have more friends, until we have more relationships in our community, they won't matter. When we have rich, robust friendships and relationships, when we count on those people and they count on us, that keeps you in place. That keeps people from moving away, and that's when a place feels special. So we've got to foster that. This is really cool. This shows where a block with high vehicle traffic and low vehicle traffic and how it affects where people move on foot. Like in essence, all those little lines, if you think of community as a fabric, those little lines are all the threads. And with more traffic, the thread gets weaker. The fabric gets weaker, easier to fall through, easier to fall apart. That stuff matters. My neighborhood in Pittsburgh, block parties are a super easy thing to do. $25, you submit it online. We had one last Saturday. Once again, it's like, oh my God, I live amongst the best people. I'll never sell this house. Like, just getting to know those people. It's easier to count on. We trust one another, and you feel better about, like, your whole life feels better when you know the people that you're surrounded by and you count on one another. So little things like block parties. This community in South Carolina does Front Yard Fridays at 5:30. Like, they've invested $3 into this whole thing. Like, if the sign's in your yard, you're going to find people drinking beer there Friday. In COVID, these suburban garage bars popped up. I started a kickball league in Lancaster. It turns out it ended up, because of kickball, we saved a 30,000 square foot historic hotel, and it was a $6 million investment from a developer. Those little social ties add up to huge things. We've got to have a stronger sense of community. And finally, appearances. Appearances mean that we navigate the world through our eyes. We make judgments constantly by the appearance of things. Like, that's okay, though. The worst cliche in the English language is don't judge a book by its cover. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we always are judging books by their cover and albums by their cover. Like, both books are the Scarlet Letter. One looks horrendous, and the other looks like it might be compelling. Same words inside. But we do judge books by its cover, and that matters, and we really need to be a little more upfront about that. For example, if I leave here, if Candace gets me all boozed up and I'm driving home and I get pulled over and I have to hire an attorney to represent me, I'm going to pick one of two women. Like, you want to judge me for that? Like, that's fine, but my freedom and safety is on the line. But I also remind ourselves that people that's the one lady's decided, this is what I want people to know about me today. Like, that's fine, that's cool. But that's a decision we always make. When somebody decides how this is what they want you to know about them. That's why they decided to look that way. It's okay to accept that, but we do that in other places, okay? Like, look, there might be the most horrendous sob story. There might be a tragic story behind the house that's not taken care of, yet we look at it, we know something's wrong with the one, we know that there's an issue going on, and we're making judgments instantly about the people that live there, right or wrong. But that's how we navigate the world. Like, one is literally telling our brain, danger, unsafe, go away, and the other is saying, calm, relax, welcome. And our communities are doing the same thing all the time. The buildings of the downtown are constantly telling everybody, here's who we are as a people. This is what you need to know about a community. But it's also telling residents, here's who you are as a people. There's a huge cost to run down buildings because they make people feel run down. And this is I love this. This is one of my favorite, I've really gotten deep into this lately, there's some examples. I've seen some in New York City, but there's a lot more in Europe, but where cities are taking down the mistakes from the 60s and 70s and replacing them with classical architecture, saying I was always told that if we tear a building down, we can never build anything pretty again. And it's not true. We actually can. It's just a decision. It's a priority. But I promise you, you can still build pretty things. We just haven't prioritized it. This is a building in Nijmegen, Netherlands, and the city had a vote, what's the ugliest building in our city? Everybody voted for that one. They tore it down and got something better built. How good would that feel? Progress, effort, beauty, ownership, all these great things happening just embodied in one building. So it matters so much. And finally, again, but all this really comes all these ideas really don't matter until we take action. We have to take action. We have to stop having conversations. Don't invite me to another committee meeting where we complain about parking. I don't want to hear any reports. Burnout. When somebody says I'm burnout, they're just saying they're tired of listening to you talk. Get busy, okay? The greatest plan in the world doesn't matter. The greatest fitness plan in the world doesn't matter as much as going out for a run. I don't care about the best comp plan. It's not as important sometimes as, here I see Dan the planner in the front row, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I really screwed up. But a great plan is not as important as getting out to pull weeds. We've got to start doing the small stuff. There isn't a silver bullet to revitalization. There's not going to be just one real estate project or one parking deck or one civic center or one ball field that fixes it all. That is no one's ever gone from F to A overnight. No one's ever gotten in shape in one gym visit. No one's ever learned Spanish in 2 class settings. The process to revitalize is going to take a million small decisions. It's going to take years. It's going to take so many small little actions. But if you do those, if you do little tiny things, incremental things every day, you'll be amazed at how it changes. 1% better every day in a course of just a couple years, you'll have completely transformed your community, and it will go on from a place that people are apathetic about to a place that people are proud about. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It's great to hear chats about civic pride and apathy. And he does have a book for sale that he's signing for me, and I'm getting that copy. It just came hot off the press. That is Your City is Sick. So there's a couple couple that he has for sale if anybody is interested. All right. And from now we're going to go on to the awards program. Which is one of my absolute favorite parts. And here to present the Artisan of the Year award is Deb Shirtliff. And the Artisan of the Year is The Gathering Place. Thank you.
The Gathering Place is the recipient of the 2023 Artisan of the Year Award. This award is presented to an artist or artisan group that exemplifies the goals of the PA Route 6 Artisan Trail program, showing regional thinking and cooperation while promoting the arts along the corridor. The Gathering Place in Clark Summit is a dynamic community center that celebrates education in the arts in a unique way, embracing the entire community. They facilitate inclusive partnerships, creativity, education, programming within the community, all in an environment filled with creative energy, a passion for lifelong learning, and a strengthened sense of belonging. The Gathering Place truly epitomizes regional cooperation in promotion of various art forms, as well as inclusivity of artists and artisans within the Route 6 corridor. Off my script, very briefly, these ladies at the Gathering Place really show what happens when there is a great idea and a committed group of women. Please welcome Paula Bailey and Dory Waters to accept the 2023 Artisan Year Award on behalf of the Gathering Place. Ladies.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do. Yeah, you don't mind. All right, and the PowerPoint. Okay. Would you want to hold on to your stuff? Dory, you want to go? As people go off the script, I was telling Candace, the day I got the phone call, I was driving my car, and she said, I have good news, and I get a lot of phone calls to say I have good news, and I nearly drove off the road. I had to pull over, because many times what you do is you get so involved in doing, you don't recognize that you actually have done something. Does that make sense? I'll go to my written words now. But I cannot, and with that in mind, I can't express how honored we are that you folks have decided to recognize all that we do. And to have Debbie do it was even better because she takes classes with us. The PowerPoint you're about to see at the Gathering Place is basically when we opened, we expected to do classes, events, art gallery, music. Inclusivity was always our focus. But our community taught us that there were some greater and unexpected needs that we needed to address. We are where people can find a place. Our world is fast becoming socially insufficient. Our phones and apps that come with them are replacing the personal interactions. Gathering Place brings an opportunity to belong, to be social, to be with one another. We have a unique program called Missing Socrates. And do you want to, and I think I'm going to narrate it a little bit. Dory and I are going to go back and forth. Oh, I do. There we go. Are we on? It's on.
You're going this way, dear.
Yep.
This one here.
Thank you.
I can do this.
Okay. This is the mission. Actually, Debbie kind of addressed it for us. We are completely volunteer. All right, Dora.
There we go. And this is how we fulfill our mission. We'll go over this quickly. Art is at the heart of all we do, and I think that's important because, oops, sorry, I went too far. We believe that when community supports the arts support the community. Because like he said before, people like things that are pretty. It brings people together. Do you want to continue on?
Okay.
Okay, this is how we support the community. Inclusive programs, special events, hosting community groups, enrichment classes, and our Open Door Food Pantry.
The Open Door Food Pantry is a 24-hour food pantry that we have in a little doorway between the police department, which is why we can do it 24 hours, and our facility. We forged partnerships with local churches and organizations, basically because we could not compete with the demand. And one of the things that has done is it's raised awareness to the need that we face within our community. We're a well-to-do community. At least that's what everyone thinks, okay, until you watch this food pantry get stripped.
It's pretty constant. Inclusive programs, and this is just a sample, very near and dear to my heart. I happen to have a daughter with Down syndrome. So we have Craft and Chat, that's my daughter. We have Game Night, Memory Cafe, which Paula has instituted, which is for people. Do you want to tell them?
Yep. If any of you know someone who has dementia, you know that it affects the entire family. Everyone is affected by the disease. Friends tend to step back once behaviors change. And the world for that family becomes smaller. Our Memory Cafe offers the people living with the disease, the person and the person's caregiver, a social outlet. We have games and crafts, opportunities to share experiences and solutions. They have a place at the Gathering Place.
This is Craft and Chat. Once again, it's a casual atmosphere where artists with and without special needs can get together to create and relate. They learn new skills, new friends. And I'm sorry, this is the slide that went with Memory Cafe, which Paula went over already. We have something called a Growing Together Gardening Club. We partner with the Master Gardeners from Penn State Extension, and we are revitalizing a little pocket park downtown. It's for people with special needs, and the Master Gardeners work together. Game Night, that's just a sample. Open Door Food Pantry. We're just going over things again with some pictures, because you know what? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Our special events, most of our events are tailored to support the arts, whether it is our ice festival, which we've had over 100 sculptures throughout the town, our bears in the summit, showcasing the creativity of over 30 artists. We got grants from both the county and Lackawanna Valley Heritage Authority for this. We tried to bring more art into downtown Clark Summit by having these artists paint bears. And if you go through Clark Summit by any chance, on Main Street, on Route 6, you will still see most of these bears have survived and are still there. This year, we hosted our second local author book fair. Over 30 authors came. They sold their books to the community and to each other. That's something we'd like to do again. We continue to have book signings, not just the book fair, but I can't even remember how many book signings we've hosted. We have coffee house concerts, which are free to the community. We get some sponsorship through Overlook Foundation for that. We have a variety of community groups that meet. We have writing groups, reading groups, and believe it or not, we have a weaving group that meets. I don't know anybody else who has a weaving group that meets, but women bring table looms and they come and they weave. We change our art exhibit, I would say, once every month or every other month. But one of the things we're most proud of is our student art show, that we give out scholarships to students that are going to college to see something with the arts. And we have an artist in residence. This person gets to put their art up in our Paul Ford room for a whole year. That's our current artist in residence, Joe Statuto, and I think his art's great. I love it. And we also, we're more adult-oriented at this point, but we are trying to bring art to children. Mark Schultz is an award-winning cartoonist, and he came and spoke with a Girl Scout troop.
He does the Prince Valiant, just to locate it. If you happen to be my age, they kind of like that.
And Paint With Me, and we always have an event. We have crafts for children that nobody pays for. They don't come in, they don't give us $1. We just pretty much out of our own pockets get the supplies for these crafts for kids. So we always have that at every event. We celebrate abilities, not disabilities. My daughter, once again. But this is her art, and she's one of our top-selling artists. She takes, these are photographs that she puts through a filter, and she has sold a lot of them, actually. And we are very proud of this. This is Joe Pluck. He's a great artist. He's a award-winning pastel artist, and he did this pastel piece that we sell at the Gathering Place, and all the money goes to Ukraine. And we also had a day where we did things like that. Education, we do a lot of art classes, cooking classes. Education is kind of where we got our start. We started having classes, and then we sort of got in building, and we sort of went into other things.
We have what is under the umbrella of an education class, a unique program called Missing Socrates. It's a community discussion group where people who are looking to talk about topical issues gather to exchange their ideas. And you can imagine in this world, this could be dangerous. But I want to tell you that the libertarians, the liberals, and the conservatives who come have all agreed that they can discuss these ideas. So to the point that we have to kick this group out of our facility or lock them in because we're done and they're not. So they too have a place at the Gathering Place.
And just to finish it up, community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter.
We provide and encourage, learning new things, experiencing the arts, cultivating a more thoughtful, inclusive, involved community. So thank you so much for recognizing us, and we probably went too long. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next, we have our Heritage Tourism Award. And if I could invite up Tamara Bledgy from Senator Dush's office to present the award to Steve Green from the LA Ness Museum.
Stephen Green is the recipient of the 2023 Heritage Tourism Award. The award is presented to a person, business, or project that furthers economic and tourism development while respecting the heritage and cultural resources of the PA Route 6 corridor. As curator, Stephen Green has developed the Elliott Ness Museum in Coudersport into an outstanding attraction at the midpoint of the Pennsylvania Route 6 corridor. Green has pulled together business partners, tourist attraction, community leaders, operators of other museums, and cultural attractions, along with Ness historians, to develop an attraction that puts the most significant historical developments of the proper perspective. Ness versus Capone, the history of Prohibition, the evolution of criminal justice, and connections of Ness to Potter County and other parts of Pennsylvania, and many others. He weaves regional history into many colorful and entertaining themes into the mosaic, which has helped the Elliott Ness Museum become a top attraction along PA Route 6. Please welcome Stephen Green to accept the 2023 Heritage Tourism Award. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Thank you, Candace, Ralph, the Route 6 Alliance, and all of you here for being here. I don't have a PowerPoint for you, so that just means you have to come to Coudersport and see the museum. I'm glad I caught part of Jeff's talk, because some of the things that have happened with the museum relate to what he had to say. But on behalf of our many volunteers, our board members, and our many advisors, I want to thank all you guys. We're more than humble and honored to get this award. We started the museum in early fall of 2019. And to relate to some of the things that Jeff said, we started it in what was an empty major building in downtown Coudersport, right in the center of town. I'm biased. I think it's the two most beautiful buildings in town. They're joined with a common wall that was removed decades ago, but it had been sitting empty for like years before we moved in. So it's been since then the museum was started and created, and when our vision for the museum was really of three main components. First, to preserve and teach the history of Elliott Ness. Second, to celebrate law enforcement, because Ness was a role model for law enforcement his entire career. Ness was the perfect cop. He was incorruptible, relentless, fair, unbiased, humble, unflappable. Who's my vintage and saw the TV program in the 1950s with Robert Stack? You guys are all younger than me, jeez. Anyway, to me, Robert Stack is Elliott Ness. That TV show is critically important to Coudersport. I won't tell you the whole Ness story or the talk that I usually give in the museum. You'd be here too long. But in any event, so our mission is to teach and preserve the history of Ness, celebrate law enforcement, and the other component of our vision was to help make Coudersport in our region a destination, which is what all of this is all about. Now, you might ask, why Coudersport? I get asked that every time somebody comes in the museum. I usually talk about the three chapters of Ness, as I call it: Chicago, where he's most known for taking down Al Capone. Then I talk about Cleveland, where he's lesser known, but even more accomplished in my view. I'm going to skip through those two chapters and go straight to Coudersport, because nobody leaves here either, as I tell everybody that comes to the museum, without being satisfied what the answer to the question is, why Coudersport? Why do these people up in the middle of the Pennsylvania wilds in this tiny little town of Coudersport claim dibs on Ness and have a museum in Coudersport? You might think in 1956, Ness came to Coudersport. He failed at a business venture in Coudersport. During the course, he was only here for about, in Coudersport, we're not here now, but he was only in Coudersport for about 12 months. And during the course of this business venture, which failed, in his stress and so forth, he suddenly died of a heart attack when he went back to his house not feeling well. So you might say, was that enough reason for you guys to claim dibs on Ness? I mean, he had to die somewhere, right? He could have died passing through Corry. You know? He could have died having a bad meal somewhere. Who knows? Anywhere. So I would agree that's not enough reason for us to claim dibs on Ness. Because the other thing that happened in those short 10 to 12 months Ness was in Coudersport, and that's our best estimate, like 12 months, give or take. Ness would tell one of the fellows he worked with at this failing company about his exploits with Capone in Chicago. And this guy knew another guy in New York City named Oscar Fraley, who was a syndicated sports writer and a wannabe author. And he said to Fraley, "You ought to come talk to this guy Ness. There's a story here." So Fraley would start coming to Coudersport to interview Ness. And he did that. And collaboratively, in the end, it was Oscar Fraley who wrote the book, The Untouchables. The story of The Untouchables was written and born in Coudersport. That's why Coudersport. And to take it a step further, some of us know Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, right? When I get to this part, people often say, boy, this guy really gets off the track. But Lucille Ball grew up near Jamestown, New York, not far from here. And there's a Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz Museum in Jamestown. And I have to confess, though I've not been there yet, shame on me, they are partners with us in the museum and in the festival we hold annually, because it was Desilu Studios who bought the rights to the book and produced the TV show, The Untouchables, who to me, starring Robert Stack as Elliot Ness, to me, I was 7 when this came out in 1959, which dates me. Robert Stack will always be Elliot Ness to me. Now, most of you guys might think Kevin Costner was Elliot Ness, but the movie in 1987. But anyway, that's why Coudersport. It's Coudersport where the story was written and born, and where Elliot Ness, his Untouchables, and the story of the Untouchables achieved their fame. Anyway, thank you all very much. Thank you. What?
That story was untouchable.
This is one of my favorites.
Up next, we have Dan Glotz, and he is going to present the Heritage Leadership Award to the Allegheny National Forest Visitors Bureau.
The Allegheny National Forest Visitor Bureau is the recipient of the 2023 Heritage Leadership Award. This award is presented to a person, business, or organization for meaningful contributions and/or through partnerships by enriching our communities through landscape initiatives or historic preservation. The Allegheny National Forest Visitor Bureau is a leader in creating projects which successfully celebrate the heritage of the area while honoring the natural attributes of the land. Trail Central is a long-term leadership goal. The heart of their projects is to use the Kinzu Bridge State Park as a trail hub to connect the communities in McKean County to the Allegheny National Forest, Allegheny and Kinzu Bridge State Park. The Bureau has adopted the principles of National Geographic's geotourism program. The Bureau created Forest Press, printing 3 award-winning books, and the CD Tracks Across the Sky. The Bureau was instrumental in obtaining funding to repair the Kinzu Viaduct, and after the tornado, in creating a vision of a major destination, the reinvention of the 6 towers that remain as Kinzu Skywalk. The Allegheny National Forest Visitor Bureau funded the interpretive plan for the Visitor Center. Partners have included Headwaters Charitable Trust, Knox and Kane Rail Trail, the A&F, DCNR, DCED, Tuna Valley Trail Association, TAMED, MJ2KB, boy, there's acronym city here, Kinzua Valley Trail, and Willow Creek Snowmobile Association. They have also created non-traditional trails within the Trail Central branding, including the Smithport Mansion District Walking Tour and the Bradford National Historic District Walking Trail. Their outdoor kiosk project has placed attraction maps and outdoor kiosks in 5 communities. Please welcome the winner of the 2023 Heritage Leadership Award, the Allegheny National Forest Visitors Bureau. Congratulations.
So my little flipper is this one? Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting. The Leadership Award, this is my board member, Brenda Fitch. She is a business owner. She owns Majestic Camps and Lost Trails, which is an ATV year-round destination. Yes, yes. So the Leadership Award to me is not just as me as an employee. It's about my board and how the board and the employees, Trina's here from my office today also, it's how we work with the community, how we work with other organizations. And so we just brought a couple of examples. This way.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, look at that. That was like the magic touch. Wow.
I brought the lights back.
Oh, nope, it went to the same one.
This way.
Okay. So Trail Central is our long-term leadership goal. We had this vision. We drew it on the wall. It was this big circle. It was the Kinzua Bridge State Park. And then we said, okay, here's our communities. McKean County is sort of a big rectangle. So just see this big rectangle in your mind. And in the middle is the Kinzua Bridge State Park. And off to one side is the Allegheny National Forest. To the north of us is the Allegheny State Park. We're right on the New York-Pennsylvania border. Our biggest community, Bradford, is 5 minutes from the New York state line. And we looked at, okay, people have to get in their car and drive to go to the National Forest to go on a trail. People have to get in their car and drive to the Kinzua Bridge State Park. So what if we start drawing all these lines as, you know, we're going to build trails to connect the state park to all of these big assets. And this year we're going to finish it. The Knox and Kane Rail Trail, the one missing link, is going to be finished later this year. So this is the image that we came up with, and as you can see, when we did our planning, more than 15 million people reside within a 6-hour drive. So if we could do our connections the way we saw it happening, that would be our marketing area. We adopted geotourism back in our bylaws, and this is why my board was so important. They saw the vision. They understood that we could not destroy or negatively impact the attractions that we had. Our attractions are natural. They're the outdoors. They're the communities. It's each with their own little unique flavor. And so the geotourism, National Geographic, just fit with that. So it was just such a perfect fit. And so we actually put it into our bylaws. Of course, our big project, don't ever think small, you know. I mean, you know, take on something that's been out there standing in the field for 100 years and say, okay, we're going to fix it. Because that's what we did. We had the Kinzua Viaduct. It was a National Engineering Landmark, a National Historic Landmark. It was within a Pennsylvania State Park. It had been ignored. The only thing that we had up there for an asset was a small little restroom that had no water 50% of the time, and the bridge needed to be repaired. So we went after $17 million to do the repairs. We got the repair, everything's happening, and a tornado came. A tornado came and took out the middle of it. So now we have those towers that you can see laying on the ground. That's the middle of the viaduct. We were in the middle. That $17 million just went swoosh, just went away with the wind. And we had government telling us they were going to close the park. And so we all, the board, myself, our communities, we spent a lot of time in Harrisburg talking to people as to why we thought this was important to save. And we had to come up with Plan B. Plan A was we were going to have a Disney story. We were going to restore this national landmark. Everybody's going to be happy. We were going to sing and dance. Tornado comes. Now I have a disaster on my hands. So that's when we came up with the idea of the Skywalk. And we found the money. It took from 2003 to 2012 to make it happen, but we did make it happen, and we got the money to restore the 6 towers and then build the overlook on the end, which has a partial glass floor. These are our trail groups that we work with, and so, some of those initials. TAMED is the Trail Association of the McKean and Elk Divide. So, and then the MJ2KB is Mount Jewett to the Kinzua Bridge. So they all came up with their own names and their own logos, and we work with all of them. These were the partners that, were really working with the Knox and Kane. And of course, Brenda's part of our projects too with Motorized Trail. These mostly are hiking, biking trails, and of course the snowmobile trails, and then she gives us ATV. So then we took the Trail Central idea and we took it out to our communities, and we started building non-traditional trails. So we made a collectible pin trail that has 10 of our historic sites, and they each have their own pin, and we have a little lanyard and a little pocket map, and that's become very popular. Dine and wine, who doesn't like to eat and have a little bit of wine, and our scenic driving trails, and then our shopping trail. This is our partners with the pin trail. And then Forest Press, this was an idea that we came up with. And this is what I said, the board was so important because a lot of boards will be very narrow-minded and very traditional, and it's like, this is all we can do. Let's not think about anything new or anything creative, but my board has always been, okay, Linda, if you can make it happen, we're going to be there for you. We're going to do what we can to help you. And so Forest Press, when I started, I've been doing this for 25 years. So when I first started, there were no nice collectibles, there were no really good keepsakes. When people came into our area, they got a little t-shirt or a little pin made in China, that had maybe the picture of the viaduct on it. So we started talking, we wanted, and of course the things that we do promote, like the National Forest, can sometimes be very controversial. You have the one side that talks about, we want this wilderness area. It all has to be wilderness. Then we have the other side that says, no, we want to have buildings and condos all along the shoreline of the reservoir. So, and then there's the whole story about, how we took the Native American lands and flooded them and made the reservoir, which is a true story. That's what happened. And it was President Kennedy that did it, which always really shocked me. I never thought that would be under his wheelhouse. But anyhow, we decided that we wanted to make some quality keepsakes. And so we diversified our 501c3 and organized Forest Press And we did the Pennsylvania Wilds Images from the Allegheny National Forest was our first book. We won 3 Addy Awards on the New York marketing scene. We were up for the national award, but Xbox, we had the first CD in the back of the book, so we considered interactive marketing, but Xbox took our award category. What can you say? So anyhow, thank you very much on behalf of myself and our board member. We really appreciate the recognition. So thank you.
We have 3 more awards. Hang in with us, people. Hang in with us. The Heritage Partnership Award is being presented to Hurry Hill Maple Farm and Museum Association. And up to present her award is Carol Baker.
Bigger. Hurry Hill Maple Farm and Museum Association is the recipient of the 2023 Heritage Partnership Award. The Heritage Partnership Award is presented to a group, person, or organization that has demonstrated excellence. Remember that word, excellence. You will see it. In historic preservation, cultural preservation, interpretation and/or education through cross-corridor thinking and interagency cooperation. Hurry Hill Maple Farm and Museum Association in Edinburgh welcomes as many as 3,000 people to tour the farm and museum during the Northwest Pennsylvania Maple Association Taste and Tour event every year. Hurry Hill Maple Farm is also the home of the Pennsylvania Historical Marker, honoring the Newbery Award-winning book, Miracles on Maple Hill by Virginia Sorensen, a children's book about growing up in maple syrup producing area. Hurry Hill Maple Farm's dedication to historical and cultural preservation is also evidenced in entertaining exhibits such as their tree-to-table displays, various children's activities that teach the importance of the Pennsylvania's agricultural heritage, and in the products they produce, which are preserved and extended through natural processes. And I hope you talk about the natural process because it's amazing. A visit to Hurry Hill Maple Farm is a unique family experience and a prime destination for all visitors traveling through the Pennsylvania Route 6 corridor. And I have a note too. When you listen to the recipient, you will detect passion, a lot of passion. And it's wonderful because it's so contagious. It's wonderful. Please welcome Janet Woods to accept the 2023 Heritage Partnership Award on behalf of Hurry Hill Maple Farm and Museum. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
This button here is going to press.
Which one? This one, the forward right there? Thank you, Carol. I'd like to thank Preservation Erie and Erie Yesterday and Route 6. Hang on, here we go. How many of you have been in a sugar house? How many of you make syrup? How many of you have been at Hurry Hill Maple Farm or Museum? Yay! We're going to get them here, Candace. We're going to get them. Hurry Hill Maple Farm is a working farm with fields and a woods called a sugar bush. We have a museum, we have a tasting room, and we have a walking trail, and we have an arm of our museum that is nonprofit. Hurry Hill Museum was created to preserve, interpret, and promote the Pennsylvania syrup industry and the award-winning children's book, Miracles on Maple Hill by Virginia Sorensen. The front of this museum, you've seen the before, this is the after. And part of the Route 6 facade program helped put the front of that museum together. And I was so inspired, I did the other 4 sides myself. The activities at the Hurry Hill Maple Farm and Museum, and I'm going to refer to this now from here forward as Hurry Hill to speed up a little bit. But the activities of Hurry Hill are to the promotion of the maple syrup industry and creating learning opportunities for new hobby sugar makers. At the request of the Pennsylvania Farm Show Foundation, we established a maple learning station at the farm show about 10 years ago. One activity is a photo opportunity, and on the right you'll see that Curious George and his friend Allie love maple syrup, and they love watching the sap drip, and so do visitors at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. At the tune of 10,000 people a week put their head through the holes of that photo board. The man in this picture bought all the equipment from a sugaring operation a year ago. He came to me in February of this year and spent the entire season learning how to make syrup. He was a quick study, and this summer he prepared a site in Meadville for his new sugar house, which will be arriving this month. At Hurry Hill, we use all buckets with liners to collect our sap. No one comes to Hurry Hill to take pictures of blue tubing. These are 2 of our faithful volunteers, and the one on the left is right at the end of the season. 20 years ago, Hurry Hill and a few other maple producers in Northwest Pennsylvania created the annual Maple Taste and Tour in March. From a handful of sugar houses in 2004, we have gone 20 years, and this year we have 20 sugar houses on the free tour that highlights the history and the process and our region for thousands to enjoy. During the pandemic, when tours were closed to the public, Hurry Hill created 5 virtual tours of the museum, and we revamped this walking trail. We put up new signage, we put up brand new QR codes, which we've had for 20 years, and the tour was very dry that year and very cool. Ideal maple seasons are, say it after me, mud and snow. Courtney, you got to help them here. What makes good maple syrup? Mud and snow. You got it. We invited the visitors of the walking trail in 2020 to a drive-through to purchase their maple products and to watch the virtual tours on our website. We also suggested that they take the walking trail to the woods, to the sugar house, and I suggested to the parking volunteers, don't count the cars, just count the strollers. Because that year it was dry and cool, and there were hundreds and hundreds of families that came to our tour that year. We usually get 2,000 to 3,000 people in 2 days. Visitors were itching to get out, and they walked to the sugar house. Activities at Hurry Hill include also the preservation of artifacts and processes and the unique heritage of sugaring communities and the 1950 book, Miracles on Maple Hill. This is a picture at Blasco Library. Each year, Hurry Hill volunteers installs this exhibit. It's 30 feet long, 10 feet tall, and 3 feet wide. It's called March is Maple Month in Erie County. The picture on the right depicts the 40 gallons of sap it takes to make 1 gallon of syrup. It took 11 years to create the cookbook that is on the left, and a lot of interested persons and volunteers. This is called the Maple Syrup Recipes with Tips and Tales from Hurry Hill Farm. Besides the 170 recipes and tips and 140 tips and hints, the tales preserve the heritage, as Courtney knows very well, unique to all of the sugaring communities in Pennsylvania and across the Route 6 region and the region around the Great Lakes. The tasting plate on the right reflects one of the activities that takes place during our taste and tour, where we depict maple sap, pick them out, maple sap, maple syrup, maple mustard, maple cream, maple barbecue sauce, and one more, maple mustard. This popular maple syrup display in our museum reflects years of artifacts used here in Northwest Pennsylvania. Miracles on Maple Hill by Virginia Sorensen was written during her time in Edinburgh and in Cambridge Springs in Northwest Pennsylvania on Route 6. The people and places are real in the book, and the processes of making maple syrup are spot on. I encourage you to look at our driving tour on our website, Hurry Hill Farm, and go along the top and just click on it because it will take you on a virtual tour of all the people and places in the book. The hermit who lived in Miracles lived on top Mount Pleasant, just off Route 6, east of Edinburgh. He kept bees, he milked goats, he carved wooden chains. Amy Hipple, the person on the left, was the young girl that Mrs. Sorensen used for the character of Marley. Here, Marley puts her head through a link of the chain, just as she did in Miracles. Harvey carved all these chains, not this one. Anyone who reads Miracles knows to put their head through the chain when they come to the museum. This is our most recent project at Hurry Hill. This was an Eagle Scout project for a boy named J.C. Williams. He had to excavate, reconstruct, and reuse an open-air stone and earth boiling arch for supporting a flat pan for boiling maple syrup. This project on the right, which is completed there, shows the method of boiling that replaced inefficient kettles but preceded the shift to formal sugar houses that we all know. 12 gallons of very smoky, pure maple syrup were made on that flat pan on the right from 500 gallons of sap on that flat pan. This project also involved a PhD researcher from California who published an article with me, and this was a real bonus for this Eagle Scout because he is now a freshman at Penn State University. Another purpose of Hurry Hill is to provide literacy, education, and ecotourism. Hurry Hill Maple Farm and the Edinburgh Historic Society collaborated to score Edinburgh's first PHMC marker. I want the PHMC people, I want to give you a shout back there in the corner. This is installed on Route 6N, just outside the Edinburgh branch of the Erie County Library in 2016. Can you all read that from where you are? I want you to read it. I'm not going to read it to you. You see that theme about rural? Everybody talks about rural Pennsylvania. There's Route 6. All students and groups for that matter who come to the museum are required to read Miracles on Maple Hill or have it read to them or listen to it on an audio tape before they visit Hurry Hill. I believe in vested interest. Here students are watching a short video on the introduction to making maple sugaring, and on the right, they're looking at a tree cookie and the holes in a 200-year-old tree from Hurry Hill and learning where the holes are, the ones you can see and the ones that you can't see. Miracles on Maple Hill is a good story. It won the prestigious Newbery Medal, which we have on permanent loan in our museum, so you can hold the Newbery Medal if you come to our museum. A room dedicated to this book is on the right. That's one of the walls, and the title of this room is Where the Seasons Take on New Meaning. Lastly, the purpose of Hurry Hill is to educate maple producers, school children, and the general public of the connection between the art and the science of making maple syrup. Here, a lifelong sugar maker is telling his boys, this is how we used to do it with Grandpa. In these slides, we see red-hot doors. We can smell the sweet steam as it rises in the evaporator. We know when a scoop sheets and the syrup comes off, the syrup is done. We know that these are all big moments for hobby sugar makers. There's the scoop on the right, and there's our sugar house, 1958, and there's one that's 1930. The flat pan that J.C. excavated was pre-1930, so it's almost 100 years old. They were boiling sap on this property. These two volunteers say it all. It isn't just about making maple, the real stuff, as it says on the right, the real stuff. It's about making memories. I'd like to end with this picture of a 9-month-old girl named Ella. Ella visited the sugar house 2 weeks ago. She's holding the Newbery Medal. She's 9 months old. I think there's a good maple story happening in the arms of that mom. I hope there's one for you too. Thank you. So I'll be expecting all of you to be raising your hands in a couple of years, all right? Thanks. And Candace, thanks for all your help. I made you cry.
Thank you. I'm too weak for this position. Next, we have our Heritage Community of the Year for 2023. And to present that, I would like to call up Randy Heller. He's from our board. And also from Honesdale. Come on up, Sandy.
Well, I'm very happy to be able to present this award to my hometown of Honesdale, Pennsylvania. And I'm also happy to say it'll make my drive a lot shorter next year. So, the Heritage Community of Honesdale is the recipient of the 2023 Heritage Community of the Year Award. The Heritage Community of the Year Award is presented to the designated heritage community who has embraced their heritage tourism workshop plans and implemented worthwhile projects that show impacts and results. Through the leadership of the Greater Honesdale Partnership, Honesdale lives their mission of working to promote, build, and invest in their community. The Downtown Honesdale Revitalization Plan is a comprehensive plan that focuses on enhancing the district's walkability and attractiveness to both residents and visitors alike. Their efforts have created a more vibrant and attractive destination for shoppers, diners, and tourists, while also preserving its unique character and history. With numerous events such as Harvest and Heritage Days, Ghost Tours, and Winter Wonderland's Parade, it's easy to see why Honesdale was the inspiration for Dick Smith's famous 1934 Christmas song, Winter Wonderland. And he also lived on adjacent to Church Street, adjacent to Central Park in Honesdale. Please welcome Sandy Levins and Kim Fish of the Greater Honesdale Partnership to accept the 2023 Heritage Community of the Year Award on behalf of Honesdale. Congratulations. Over. Sure.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming. I have a similar story because I was also in my car when Candace called to tell us, and I also had to pull over because I was like, what? Oh, that's so exciting. So we are very honored for Honesdale to receive this award today. So I just have a few things about Honesdale to share with you. That is a view from our Irving Cliff Park, which is way above Honesdale, and it's one of my favorite pictures. This is Central Park. We are, again, a designated community. Very proud about that. But the top right picture there is what they say inspired the Winter Wonderland Christmas Carol. So it's a very proud moment for Honesdale. Yeah. So when you say proud, we're definitely proud of that. We, with the borough, and I'm sorry if anybody, I didn't even say, GHP, Greater Honesdale Partnership, we are the economic partner of the borough. So when I say we, that's what I'm talking about, we. With the borough, created some beautiful new Welcome to Honesdale signs. So I was kind of excited when Jeff highlighted that we have two, we have 4 kind of entrances to Honesdale, so this is one of the 4 locations that will be 2 are erected. So very nice entry. Our main project right now in Honesdale is a revitalization of Main Street. So we have engineering plans in place. So to the left is kind of the current Honesdale, and to the right is what we envision. So it'll be brand new sidewalks, street lighting, benches, crosswalks, and to complement the beauty, we are looking for traffic calming and pedestrian safety and all those items as a priority in our project. Our most recent grant that we've received was an LSA statewide grant, and that is for one of the side streets, 12th Street, so it'll be a connector park. Again, focusing on beauty, but it will connect our trail initiative from one end of town to the other. So it's just the connector that brings you through to Main Street and then down the river of Lackawaxen River. Kim, honey, you can jump in anytime. You know I overtalk. We talked a lot about facades today, and we're really very proud of the facade program. We had a little delay, I think, like everyone else did during the pandemic, but it has truly picked up in the last couple months even. I've been in position 2 years. And in just a few months, once one awning went up, and that's all it really was for that part of the facade, was twisted rail on the bottom there, went from no awning to awning. All of a sudden, everybody was like, "Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?" And she kind of passed the word along about the facade program, and it just blew up. So we have allocated all $50,000 that we had, received from DCD, and so all those projects are in the works. So again, on the left, they got brand new windows and painted, and now beautiful building to the right up there. So when you say just one thing got it really, really rolling, and it was as simple as an awning. So anything can happen. Again, we work with the borough, and I just wanted to highlight some of the projects that they, as a borough, are working on as well. They were funded by DCNR to create a dog park down at Apple Grove Park. So that is in the process. And then they're looking to purchase a brand new mobile stage for events in the park, and that we can move around the town and use in different venues. So different entertainment activities as well. As GHP and the economic driver here, we host a lot of the town's events, with the exception of Roots and Rhythm on this list. We do them also 4th of July fireworks, sidewalk sales. Roots and Rhythm is a big music festival we do not do, but brings millions of people to town. I feel like it feels like millions. Ghost tours, we actually have this weekend coming up, is our Harvest and Heritage and Ghost tours. With the historic Honesdale, a lot of people enjoy just hearing all the stories of times past. We host the Central Park tree lighting and the star lighting on the cliff. I think I have a cliff picture later. Shop Small Saturday and other promotion events. We keep it in the family. That's my brother, is Santa Claus. We promoted him this year. And a new event that we did this year that was a lot of fun was called the Girls' Night Out, where we invited just the ladies to come into town and enjoy. And a lot of times, Honesdale kind of rolls up its bed at 8 o'clock, but we kept everything open a little bit later that night, and we had about 36 stores participate in restaurants and things like that. So it was a great event, and it was fun to see people out and about a little bit later in town.
160 women.
160 women and 38 businesses participated. So, and yeah, that's our view from the cliff. I thought I had a cliff picture, but that's all I have.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
Holmes is like in a valley. It's like almost in a bowl. So it's nice and flat here. But thank you so much.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies, and you will be seeing their valley because they will be hosting the next year's conference. All right. Our last award. This is the Lifetime Achievement Award. And it's presented to someone who is really impactful to the Heritage Corridor for many more years when a Lifetime Achievement Award comes in. And here to present the award is Honey Stemka from DCED, but we keep this award secret, so very few people know. And I'm hoping that this person doesn't know quite yet, but here to accept the award is Melinda Meyer.
Hello, everyone. As Candace said, my name is Honey Stemka, and yes, Honey is my real name. I cannot really remember the first time that I met Melinda Meyer. My family and I have been in Erie for almost 12 and a half years, so sometime between now and May of 2011, Melinda and I became acquainted, and fortunately for me, since then, I have had the great honor of working directly with that woman on a host of projects that have positively impacted individuals and communities across Erie County. And I know many of you have also worked with this woman, so you have those positive impacts in your communities as well. As I told the former county executive, Dahl Kemper, when I made the decision to hire Melinda as the grant writer for Erie County in December of 2019, Melinda can see around corners and brings a perspective to the work unlike anyone else I have ever met. As I've also told everyone connected to the pandemic response in Erie County and Melinda herself, there was no way that Erie County could have created the programs that it did in the time that it did with the CARES Act and ARPA dollars without Melinda Meyer. And I so deeply believe that. So yes, I know it's a little confusing. Now I'm with DCED. Prior to this, I used to be the Director of Planning and Community Development for Erie County, and had the great fortune to actually work directly with Melinda on many things. So that was Melinda's day job in the recent past. She has also worked selflessly and to serve the heritage and arts communities in northwestern Pennsylvania for more than 20 years. She is extremely experienced as a historian, educator, project consultant, grant writer, and nonprofit administrator. In 2011, she joined the all-volunteer team of Preservation Erie and has worked on several key initiatives, including the development of the Erie County Cultural Heritage Plan and the Erie County Historic Resource Inventory Update. She has also taught public history and historic preservation undergraduate courses at Mercyhurst University and is presently the Director of Programs, Grants, and Compliance for Impact Corry. Yes. It is because of this work and so much more that Melinda Meyer is the recipient of the 2023 Lifetime Achievement Award. This award, as Candace said, is presented to the person or agency who exemplifies outstanding leadership and advances the mission of the PA Route 6 Alliance through heritage development. Please welcome Melinda Meyer, recipient of the 2023 Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations.
First of all, I'm way too young to be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Awards. And second of all, age has no bearing. Okay, and impact. And second of all, my Frank. So my maiden name is Frank, and my Frank family is coming through. We are all criers. So from my grandfather to my dad without notice. I have, literally, and I'm not typically speechless. In any case, there are so many, there would be so many people to acknowledge, partners, organizations, municipalities, throughout Erie County that have contributed to everything that has been achieved, right? Because I don't know if this too comes with getting older, but you really realize that nothing you achieve is done in a vacuum, right? Every success you have is because someone stood beside you and someone stood behind you and, contributed to the project, to the effort, to the initiative, whatever you happen to be working on. So, including the women in this room. And I say women because I realized this morning that there were primarily, sorry, Ralph. Oh. Working this morning to even get this room ready for today's conference. And of course, the strong, powerful women behind organizing all of the events that are contributing to this multi-day event. So I really am speechless. I have nothing planned. I have nothing to say. Yes, just thank you, honey. That was an incredible overview. I've had the privilege to work on so many different projects. It's amazing how these really impactful projects I feel they have popped up in my life at different points. So I didn't intend to go into museum education and community outreach. That opportunity was presented to me. I didn't have the opportunity, or I wasn't thinking that I was going to be joining the Arts Council of Erie until they hired me to write a $1 million grant that was successful, and then they hired me to help administer it. And then working at the county, I didn't know when I accepted the job at the county that the CARES Act funding would be coming through, and we'd have a very short amount of time to get millions of dollars out on the street in an impactful way, in a meaningful way, during a pandemic. So all of these opportunities just kind of have presented themselves, and I've been so fortunate. And so thank you for everyone that is here, for I don't know, whoever nominated. And I just, I really am just overwhelmed with this acknowledgement. So thank you.
So on behalf of Pennsylvania Route 6 Alliance, our wonderful board of directors, our amazing staff, our rocking committee, the legislators that are here, our funders that are here, and every single person that's in the chairs, along with all of our sponsors that could make today happen, thank each and every single one of you, and have a wonderful weekend. All set.